I'm gonna quickly refill my drink.
All right, no problem. Wow, it does like me.
I
That
don't
was the
think YouTube likes anyone.
fastest time YouTube has ever said hello. And it was like 3 seconds later. Hi, Smud Boy. Like, whoa, we're alive. Amazing. Well, thanks, guys, for joining in. And we've got almost a full house. I thought Mr. Southpaw was going to be here, but I guess he's just a busy guy, and that's totally cool. We are continuing from where we left off on how do we characterize this make stuff gentleman as a very affluent and knowledgeable man when it comes to being nice, and everything has to be nice. The fandom has to be nice. You have to be nice about criticism.
Oh, yeah, fill me in. This is the one I missed last time, I think.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like he's saying, if you don't like the Last Jedi, just learn to like it. And
No,
Stop
no.
spreading hate.
Much in the
Hey,
camp of like, don't be
Haters.
mean to other people. Just like, it's just a movie. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's like,
Stop
yeah,
forcing your
I
hate onto
don't
the
know, man.
people.
yes,
I mean,
and
if you don't like a big pile of steaming, a big plate of steaming human diseased excrement, just learn to like it, okay? That's all you gotta do.
and
Just learn how it tastes.
interestingly enough, there was a writer fellow by the name of, what was his name? I wrote it down. John C. Wright, and this was mentioned in the previous chat. He actually wrote a book just on the Last Jedi called "The Worst Star Wars Novel." Sorry, not the worst Star Wars novel. I put it in the comments. Okay, the Last Straw, and it's a different take. He does use some critical analysis. He does do music appreciation, but he's a writer, so he thinks along those lines, and he defines what a movie should be and what it should do, and why it was a total mess thematically, etc., etc. So if you guys are interested in reading or downloading a digital book about that sort of thing, hey, this is a topic that's not going away. Bad popular media is going to keep happening, and it's best to equip yourself to know what to avoid. And I think it would be smarter to actually buy something from someone who knows what they're talking about, an actual writer who has some understanding of these things, like LiteratureDevil, who's going to be an author very soon. Myself, whenever I get around to getting off my lazy ass and publishing my own literary analysis book, etc. So go ahead, spend I think it's $5, whatever, and check out the another take, a writer's take on the Last Jedi.
Sounds good. I think I might look into that actually.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I'm not
I'll
buying
pick it up. I want to check it out myself.
Also, how come it's always the people who don't like it who have to bend the knee? The people who do. How come people who do like it? How come they're defending me by liking this movie? So how come they can't just say, I agree with you. The movie is terrible, and they agree with me instead of me having to agree with them, learning to like the movie? Why can't they learn to hate the movie? I mean, isn't that fair? Isn't that
Or,
just as
or
fair?
why can't they just agree to disagree? Just say like none of the stuff that you're bringing up affects me in either way, and I just still like it. I'm like,
No, no,
it's
that's
They
bigotry.
have to.
That's small-mindedness.
validate the other side. It's like, man,
They
come
believe
on,
that
just
what they like has to be of quality. They don't want to admit that what they're enjoying is in some way bad.
No. It's obvious that the lovers of the Last Jedi are just mean bigots because they don't learn to hate the movie so that they can agree with me.
The people who
That's
don't like Justice League, they're just being.
Well,
It's
I
not that
don't.
it's a
Neil,
bad movie.
I just want to get a nice dialogue open with them. That's all I want. You try to do that on Twitter, forget about it. You try to do it in comments section on YouTube, it gets deleted. You try anything, email,
Nah,
nope, no response. So
I'm gonna bring that up.
you'd think they'd love to defend the thing they love so much, but no, they won't.
they
Are we
want to
gonna
make
bring up the deleted
statements.
comments?
They want to make statements, not really, not have dialogues.
And
much.
I'm totally open to talking about music, even though I'm not the most skilled practitioner of studying music. I did it back in my youth. But we can definitely talk about John Williams and how he dropped the ball, or how the music did not match the pacing or the certain scenes. That's all throughout the story. Some of the visuals are great. No one's going to argue that the hyperspeed ramming was crap. Like, it was really good. It was amazing. Like, that was
No,
the most exciting part of the movie. So if you're talking about visuals in Star Wars, that was the
yeah,
probably the biggest one throughout all the series.
yeah, that was really cool, and it would have been. I think it was really cool. I think it probably was one of the most stunningly and bravely executed scenes in the Star Wars movie of the Last Jedi, and maybe even the whole sequel series. However, it would have been a lot cooler had Akbar been behind the wheel.
Ooh.
Or if it had just flat out made sense mechanically, if there had been something like that was as like incredible to see and like visually striking, but it made sense. Like that is what you strive for when you tell a story. But unfortunately, you have this, and like none of it makes any sense. You're like, man, so it's cool in the moment, but then you know a week passes, you're like, that really doesn't make any sense considering all the previous films. So it's like, disappointing.
Well, turn your brain off and enjoy the film.
Let's go.
That'll help you
The-
enjoy the movie. That's for certain.
You can do that to the Rise of Skywalker, but it's very difficult to do even that to the Last Jedi.
The thing is, we're just talking about the Holdo scene. I think honestly would have been a better improvement if the Radus kind of like just put itself to shield the shuttles, like it shielded the shuttles from like the bombardment, and that would make more sense and it'd actually be pretty visually stunning as
I
like.
would have liked a ramming speed maneuver, and it just becomes this kamikaze where they're shooting at it and shooting at it. But there's so much mass, it just keeps going and going, and
That's been done before.
It's breaking off, and pieces are breaking off. It's just blowing up
thing is that-
everywhere.
Like
Fleet that
the
big
whole of the ship
should-
is being filled with fire, and she's still just like going
Yeah.
forward. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
I want to see her
The
struggle.
thing is,
I want to see her
I
fight.
don't think that would work.
Her wig falls off. That'd be fantastic to see her hair.
That's real hair, man. Come on, you gotta believe.
The hair flip.
I don't think ramming works because the ship should be completely destroyed by this big ass fucking dreadnought and this big ass fucking fleet. It should be absolutely nothing to them. And then considering the actual size of the Riders compared to the size of the Supremacy, it's like the other thing isn't going to do squat shit against.
That's a lot of material to stop. Like it would be easier to move out of the way than to shoot it to pieces. So something would get through. Like something would skid or snap or break off, and big
Although herself
big
go
fireball.
straight for like Leia, and then she would just go splat on like Snoke's
Leia.
observation.
It reminds me of that clip they or the GIF they put Leia, and she does her flyby, and then it cuts to the
Shooting stars.
hyperspace ramming. It's like
That meme is so hilarious.
There's like edits someone's done of like shooting stars with her just flying off.
oh no, that's nowhere near as good as Palpatine and his shooting stars GIF or video. That was like right on there.
It's so much more relevant now that the Rise of Skywalker is out too. It's like this is pretty much what the Rise of Skywalker was, man. It's like he's back, baby, flying all over the place. Like, oh,
He didn't fly. He just kind of
Unfortunate.
hovered a little bit, and then he grew fingers.
He took apart 5 Jedi
Lightning.
Masters, just like 4 of them instantly, I think, and then and then Mace Windu has to have some dialogue. Who's like the strongest?
You don't understand.
Guardian.
These masters were retarded.
Oh, they're
That
super
explains
retarded.
everything.
Yeah, there's no question about that. It's totally the thing. But they just stood there like,
look,
oh.
It's a
that
different
fight is
thing.
really poorly choreographed. You're like, Palpatine is so slow, and that's unfortunately the fault of the actor. You're like, they should have found a way to like put a stuntman in there or something like that, but they just die instantly because they suck. It's not because he's that good that he can take all of them. It's because they were just sitting there. It's like, come on. That could have been a
Then you
better
brain
fight.
off and enjoy the film. But you still kind of.
It helps you enjoy all movies.
Yeah, so we could appreciate
kind of person like
the prequels more. Not to say they're better, but we say, "Hey, wow! If only Palpatine could have done this," or maybe if Anakin wasn't so stupid, none of this would have happened. It's like, no, he needs him to teach him some skill he's kind of lying about. It's like, oh, really? The entire premise is based off a lie. Thanks, George. It's fantastic. Okay.
Well, the whole saving people from death thing wasn't really a lie.
If you
The
say so.
Metachlorian stuff.
I haven't seen episode 9 yet, so I don't know.
If you read the Plagueis novel,
Oh, I wish we had to like have mandatory reading after the movie,
Look,
like in the credits.
expanded material always fixes the problems of the movie.
It's like,
It's just how it works, okay?
if you love Star Wars, go read these books to make sense of this thing you just watched. Like, oh, all right, great idea. Thank you, movie. I'll go do that.
Hey, you want the hyperspace ramming to be explained? Read this book.
I wish there was something that made sense of that. I wish there was like, hey, we didn't screw up the lore. Totally no, it's totally a real thing that this is.
Oh, totally 1 in a million. Oh, I don't know what to talk about.
We don't need
Well,
laser weapons and Death Stars. We just need a bunch of ships to light speed ram into a planet. No. We need a Death Star. That'll work. Can't do it any other way. Can't blow up a planet any other way. It's like, okay, sure. Light speed, infinite energy. Nah. Big death laser, size
I
of a
think it
moon.
was Space Doc that kind of pointed out how stupid it is to blow up a fucking planet when they already have the ability to like glass a.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if you glass a planet, you destroy the rebels, and you still get to keep the resources of the fucking planet. If you destroy the planet, you've got no resources, and all this has been for fucking.
You can tow a meteorite, really large meteorite, hit any part of the planet where it has water or a landmass. That ecology, that ecosystem is gone for hundreds of years, if not
You
thousands.
could even do a Stargate SG-1 and fill it full of explosives.
full of a crashing radius with explosives. Okay. It's like how big of the explosion do you want? Well, infinite energy plus a few bombs. Like, yeah, why not? Sure. Bam. All right, I think we've idle chatted for enough. Let's keep going because we're going to be here for at least a few hours.
Oh boy. Gotta get to 16 minutes or something.
Yeah, we're at 16 minutes right now.
because their videos just weren't for me anymore, which is fine because they owe me nothing. And even if that wasn't the case, even if I had spent hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars on their merch, how much money would I have to spend to make it okay to harass someone?
Oh,
Okay,
God.
no one's
The
harassing.
Oh no.
I'm not familiar with anyone harassing people who like the movie. I really am not. I'm not.
I think what he's talking about is like Kelly Marie Tran and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm just gonna say that I keep saying this to anyone who brings up the Kelly Marie Tran thing. Do you know how fucking big the Star Wars fan base is? Like, it is fucking huge. So if 0.001% of the Star Wars fan base just decided to send me messages one day, that would be a hell of a lot of comments.
Exactly.
Like,
It's
it would
it's
be
it's
a
in such
fuck
a
ton.
it's in a minority, or like this is not a large enough group that's worth like addressing. You're just like sure,
Well,
it
I
might have
mean,
happened, but it's like this is not the majority of people.
And the funny thing is, Kelly Marie Tran could have had a wonderfully written character. She could have done an even amazing more performance, and it doesn't matter. Someone's going to dislike it, and they're going to say so online. And that's someone is going to be like thousands and thousands of people just because it's the biggest, most popular franchise we have in movie history, and you're making yourself public. So good luck. That's what's going to happen to you. Doesn't matter what you do.
Why they made her try and it seems like they tried to make her look like fatter and greasier than she actually is, because like when she's on the red carpet she doesn't look nearly as bad when she's actually as Rose. Like, she seems perfectly fine on the red
I
carpet, so
don't
why'd
know
you go to
why.
the extent to make her look so
Yeah, she could have been a really attractive looking, cute dock worker sort of person, and they gave her this weird haircut, and I don't know what kind of makeup that was, but she's a pretty girl, but didn't really come across. I don't know why you want ugly looking appearances by actors.
No, the Rise of Skywalker, like she looks like she has like an allergic reaction to a bee sting. She's like puffy, and it's like that has to be by design because she does not look like that on the red carpet or in any of the other pictures. Like, she's really pretty, and it's like I don't know why they did that. It's like I'm guessing it was to like subvert tropes, say like
subvert your
usually like root
expectations.
for the attractive woman and all that. It's like there, but it's like I don't know. Maybe that was that way, but I'm like that's kind of degrading to her because she's a really attractive actress. So
You didn't
I have
expect
no
to
idea.
make an actress ugly, did you?
Exactly.
Subvert
It's
your
like,
expectations.
Like, thanks,
Fucking-
Ryan. You hired all this
they
great
subverted you in
talent.
casting.
Let's make everyone
Yeah.
look ugly. It's like, why? Why would you do that in a movie where everything's supposed to be amazing and attractive? Even when you have people in makeup which make them look ugly, it looks attractive. I know it sounds a little contradictory, but that's the point of a visual media. You want to see interesting things. Like a horror film looks amazing because of the effort they put into practical effects and all the wonderful, I don't know what plastics they use to make something look believable. You're like, whoa, that's a really good set design. Or that's a really good costume design, or special effects, or practical effects. You want that effect. But this is not even that. This is just an actress that they made look frumpy and had a really stupid line of dialogue. So, eh.
The Star Wars fandom has a very, very big entitlement and harassment problem.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
All right.
Just shut-
I'm willing to say that
I
Star Wars fans are very entitled because there's a whole bunch of them. They know what they like. And obviously Disney knows that, or at least hears the stories that people like Star Wars and want more Star Wars, but they're obviously not listening to what they actually want because they're not getting it.
I I don't know. Like he's entitlement and harassment. It's like maybe. I don't think that the majority of people do. This is what I always say. I've been incredibly vocal about my dislike for The Last Jedi ever since I saw it in theaters. I've written several reviews. I've used it in videos. I've talked about it all the time. I have never targeted or harassed actors or actresses from the film because I didn't like the movie. It's like I don't know. I don't think that the majority of people like engage in that type of behavior. I think that like we're looking at a very small chunk of people.
Right. And the way that they express these feelings, at least I'm aware of, aside from Twitter, which is kind of like you could block anyone instantly, it's on fan groups, fan rings, Facebook, that sort of thing, where you get all the fans together and they start sharing things and then they get booted out because the moderator says, oh, you're being negative or whatever. So this happens all the time, but it's very controlled and it's normal. This is normal. This is totally, it happens every time. You walk into a comic book store, when you walk into someone's basement, they're playing a video game or whatever. These things happen all the time. So I think the advent of social media just multiplies this. And these people just do not understand that social media is a thing. You can stop looking at it any time. You have so much control over social media. You say, this guy's being a jerk. Mute, block, put the phone down, go for a walk. Like you can do so many things.
Oh look, you can just put it down and walk away.
Like it's such a great thing that you could just rail off on someone, and that's it. And you could just say what you like. You probably shouldn't say whatever you like because you're raised properly and you have manners, and it's nice to be nice to people. But sometimes when someone does something stupid, you're like, yeah, this is crap. You're an idiot. You're free to do that. It's a beautiful thing in a free society. And yeah, you're not being nice, but that's the reaction you got. If these people say you can only be positive, then why can't we be emotional on the other side? What's wrong with being negative? What's wrong with saying, hey, this thing sucks? And I'm not saying harassing people. Again, they're super popular. They get all sorts of fans bugging them about everything. But it's natural. This is totally normal. People are allowed to feel whatever they want from a movie and express that. If you don't want to hear it, block them, let it go, mute them. There's so many methods of not participating in a discussion you don't want. So
I honestly don't think anyone, like in terms of YouTubers, is calling for anyone to harass anyone. Like, and just off the top of my head,
never heard it. No.
Because when I worked for Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers, I honestly I watched a lot of his stuff, and all the time he would constantly say, "Don't harass these people," and all his content is always something like, "Oh, social justice or feminist, whatever, in this thing and that and the other," and I don't follow him now, but at least back then he was always going on about don't harass these people, and as far as entitlement. I don't think like entitled. I guess we want good films. We want good content. We don't want content that slaps us in the face. We don't want the director to say, "Oh, if you don't like this movie, you're just a bigot."
Well, yeah, this is the famous line from Rian Johnson: "If you don't like it, you're a man baby," or if you criticize any of the females,
just not like a fucking film these days. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's their gut reaction as well. But then you see, this is where this man is coming from. And
the thing is, they often use this defense when they know the film is going to be terrible. So if you notice, they put this in the marketing. Like if they know a film is going to be terrible, they've seen the script. It's everyone is anticipating it for it to be terrible because it probably is going to be. Ghostbusters 2016 has been true ever since then, maybe even before, but it's always been included in the marketing ever since then. That if the audience thinks, the public thinks the movie is going to be terrible because they fill it with woke stuff, and the marketing says, and also the stars and celebrities say that if you don't like it, you're a man baby, you're a bigot, you just hate women, and then it proceeds from there. And I think it's a desperate attempt. It's not really like wanting to call you a bigot, not just honestly. I think it's another attempt to get people in seats by making it mandatory, sort of making it mandatory, putting a moral stance on it. Like if you don't come to see this movie, you are a bigot or a sexist or a racist or whatever.
When I think of the quality argument, I think of the line of dialogue from the DVD of The Last Jedi, where Ryan Johnson says the movie we did there was too big a movie, we had to cut it out, which reminded me immediately of Episode One when George Lucas was talking about how many plot lines he was writing and how much he filmed. It's like, well, that's normal for a movie, but you still have to cut it out. And if you are doing 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours of story, and you have to start editing at that point, you're like, okay, you probably wrote too much. And if you start cutting out, there's a lot of crap you have to cut.
While you have pre-production and planning, and this is stuff they teach us in creative media. You know, you have to plan. You have your proposal, and then you have your research, and you have your proposal, then you plan, and you need to make sure your planning is absolutely like tight, because if anything, you know, obviously you have a set time for production. Everything has to go toward the plan.
And these are basics of editing. I mean, everyone knows this goes from filmmakers to writers to probably anyone. Yeah, anyone who creates a creative product, even comic creators, whatever. If it's telling a story, if it requires a script of any kind, if it has a plot point from A to B, then it requires some sort of editing. And you can have all kinds of stories and plot lines and characters in that script or in the story you're trying to tell, but there is always one distinct journey that the story takes the reader. And if it's not if it's extra, and if it doesn't help the journey, and if you're over time, over budget, too many words, whatever, then the extra stuff is what you're supposed to take out, and it's supposedly not going to hinder the overall message of the movie or creative product.
The most extreme instances include death threats and racist and sexist language, harassment that has led to Daisy Ridley and Kelly Marie Tran quitting social media, Jake Lloyd, an 8-year-old boy, getting relentlessly bullied and quitting acting, and
that's bullied as in, I think it was in high school, like primary school, or at least your equivalent of.
Is Jake Lloyd the one who did the original Anakin?
Yeah, the original Anakin. Yeah. Like,
yeah, he went through some terrible stuff. He did the
absolutely.
I think he had to go to some mental institutions. It was awful.
But a lot of that was like, while obviously there probably were adults who were obviously going way past the line, a lot of that was probably like bullying in school. It's like a lot of people just look bullies in school. Like, surprise, surprise, are going to bully you no matter what. They just try and find your weak spot.
So why is he talking about harassment again?
Oh, because
he doesn't want people to be mean.
Has a harassment problem. It has a harassment.
This has always been a big problem with Star Wars, apparently. Harassment.
No, it hasn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, the old fans are all toxic. Okay.
Again, make stuff. Do you realize how fucking big the Star Wars fandom is? You complete fucking tool.
Well, these are all related to problems outside of The Last Jedi, and these are all towards men. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is a problem in the past, and it's not going away. I don't think it's just related to Star Wars. I think it's just related to anything popular that people grew up on.
Or the guy who played, it's Henry Cavill, the guy who played Superman. He got like harassment and death threat. Didn't see him quitting social media.
Well, he has
and then he went on to like do some pretty cool stuff.
yeah,
in The Witcher.
he has a good mental attitude towards these things. That's why he's more
Oh,
equipped
yeah.
to deal with it.
Yeah,
But a
and he
kid,
completely understood because he's a fan himself. He understood that if something isn't, put right, you're not paying the character justice.
They tried to take him
Then
to task
obviously
on
there's
that.
people will be pissed off.
They try to take him to task on that particular point. He goes, someone asked him about toxic fandom, and he goes, I don't think there's anything toxic. People love these franchises. People are they're fans of these IPs, these intellectual properties, and they've grown and developed this fandom that they have, this love they have for these things over years and sometimes even decades. So it's very reasonable that they would be passionate, but he wouldn't say they were toxic. That's kind of what he said, more or less.
I
saw that interview. It was really good. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
nice statement.
Like,
in all honesty.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
that guy
fantastic.
is a
He's
gamer.
he's
He's
over and
awesome.
over.
The Witcher. I know
Yeah.
that he really he's a fan of the books as well, the Witcher books.
You know who
And
else didn't
he
leave social
really-
media? You know who else didn't leave social media? John Boyega. He even got the
Oh
critique
yeah,
because Marie Tran is not maybe she's not mentally strong enough to be on social media, and he got hit hard for that. But he's right. He's right.
Seriously, you could look at those tweets and there were like genuinely racist things which were being posted in there. Like, I'm not kidding. I looked through it myself. It's like, this is not something that's just like broad. It's like you could find specific racist statements made. It's like, this is something that's very real for the people who were upset over the rise of Skywalker for stuff that was not continued in The Last Jedi from The Last Jedi. It's like, wow.
The Raylos were really out in force. They were really attacking JJ. The Raylos, because the Raylos are like this really true toxic core of people. I'm not even sure the Star Wars fans. They're just shippers.
They're a cult, essentially.
Yeah,
it's not about the films.
They're specifically a coven. They're a coven.
I'm just imagining like just a bunch of middle-aged women just in dark cloaks in a dark room. Like got
scary
some, like,
stuff. It's scary.
Symbols.
That's how you envision them. They're like sitting around a table. It's like they worship Rey and Kylo Ren's relationship. And like when the films like betray that, it's like sacrilegious. It's like, what the hell? Like, did The Last Jedi produce?
That was probably my favorite part of the entire sequel series, is seeing Raylo end right before my eyes. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the kiss was still unfortunate. I wish we didn't have to see.
I see it as a kiss goodbye, all the hopes and dreams.
Just no one liked that kiss. Raylos hated it. It's like no one was happy with that. And it's like they put that in there for a reason.
I like that kiss. Made me very happy.
Yeah. By that point, I was just dead inside. I was like, oh, of course, this is how this is happening.
They could have just had Kylo, he flies down the pit and he dies, and then Rey just doesn't die. And then, you continue from that. Why does Kylo need to drag himself out of the pit to then kill himself by healing Rey?
Maybe that's why Kylo kept losing to Rey. Because supposedly Kylo was supposed to be as strong as Rey. But I think Rey put all of her points in Force powers, and Kylo put all of his points in like climbing or something.
He rolled his stats very.
He didn't have a good min-maxer advising him. Rey, on the other hand, is the DM's girlfriend, so she had all the help in the world.
The thing is with Rey, she was already dead. How could the fuck can you can use the Force to bring someone back from the dead?
Well, yeah, you can. That's why Darth Vader fell. Remember, or Anakin Skywalker turned into Darth Vader.
Why didn't she just vanish into thin air? Why didn't she just evaporate like all the other Jedi?
I don't know. Maybe it's because she's not a Jedi. I don't know. I'm not really sure why that happened. Because she had to be brought back to life. Maybe it's the Force. The Force knew.
Even though Kylo disappeared because he wasn't a Jedi either. It's like,
oh, he was back.
Kylo learned the fucking wills. Who the fuck knows?
I forgot. Did Kylo disappear?
Just becomes
I love how arbitrarily he just disappears. Like he does the Force heal, they kiss, and he's like, whoop, just falls backwards and dies, and he disappears. Like, oh, what the?
I don't even remember. Yeah. I forgot whether or not he disappeared.
It happened so quick. That movie is so poorly edited. It blows my mind.
It breaks canon as well. In so many
regularly, it's like a fundamental part of the film.
All right, let's see what he has to say about all these other actors that got attacked.
All the harassment in the Star Wars community. Let's do this.
Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks, nearly committing suicide. And these are
It's not a special thing to nearly commit suicide. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been there in their dark times in their life. It's not a special. But
Yeah.
I understand that, yes, he's probably been through some hard shit. A lot of people have been through hard shit. But, you know, okay, there's nothing special that he considered suicide.
True enough. Like, did you see that video that he made, like where he was talking about that, and with the article that he posted?
Was
Stuff. He was talking about it, like him and his son, and he first of all, he blamed the media. That was the thing. He specifically used the word media. He never like related it to the fans, but he did say like the criticism was harsh, and that was something that he was considering. So, but it's like, yeah,
these
the
backlashes
criticisms
usually
were
come in
against
when
Jar Jar,
the
not
fans feel
him.
betrayed.
I don't think, because a lot of people
like, I don't
don't
know.
even know the. I can't even know. They don't even know the guy's name.
At
Like, a lot of
best.
criticisms were against Jar Jar, not against the guy playing it.
Yeah, that was one of the few things that he said in there that I disagreed with. Is he said when you're like criticizing a character, you're criticizing the actor, and I'm like, I disagree with that. But I did understand. He said like I poured a lot of like heart and soul into that role. I worked hard so that I could become the character, and I was like, yeah, I understand why that would be frustrating, but I'm like, I think you should separate that out, like between like the actor versus the character So
it's kind of like when you publish a book or something, and the people criticize the book. It feels like they're criticizing you. It's sort of like that. I can see how actors would feel the same way because they're actors. They put a lot of themselves, a lot of their heart and soul into what they portray on screen. So I think it's kind of the same thing.
The actor, though, it's also so in Jar Jar's case, especially, it's also the VFX artist, and it's also the director, and it's also the writer, and then it's the actor as well, who has to try and bring the writer has to obviously create the character, the actor has to bring it to life, the director has to make sure that they, direct them towards how the character should be, and then you have to get the visual effects artist for Jar Jar's case to make sure everything works. So a character isn't just one person, it's a lot of people working together.
Just actors playing the roles they were given. But it doesn't have to be racist or sexist or life-threatening to be harassment. The definition of harassment is to bother, intimidate, or aggressively pressure someone in a constant or repeated way.
He gonna say that the criticisms of the film like qualify as harassment because like technically they're mean or something like that, because that's nonsense.
Hold on. I think the critics, I think this would fall under the critics, right? The critics of The Last Jedi have been bothered, intimidated, or aggressively pressured by the people who love it.
That's a good point. You could say, like, you think we're harassing the cast and crew? We've been harassed for our. They'd say it's okay to harass harassers.
In a constant or repeated way? Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just don't think that social media is a form of harassment in that regard. You can say mean and spirited things, but it's just some random schmuck online, like myself. I'm a random schmuck saying, "Hey, you suck. I don't like X." Oh no! Like, does it really hurt people when you get thousands of those messages? I guess if they bother to read them, and that's a big part of your life, yeah, you would feel negative because people are saying negative things. But then you realize, hey, this is just social media. The same way this is just a chat session between 4 guys that seem to dislike something. It's like, wow, do we want people to die because of the things that they did in a movie? No, we don't.
It's something you say online.
We're being emotional. We're being what's the term? You're on, especially on Twitter, where you're just just off the top of your head. You're just saying whatever you feel. So
and being impulsive.
Yeah, like you would just be aware of the medium, and you say, "Oh, well, this is just Twitter." And I get that with people when I say something. I say stuff inflammatory all the time, whether it's on Twitter or elsewhere. And people react inflammatory as well. It's like, yep, this is the realm you're in. So if you're not aware of that realm, don't play the game.
That's why I love
Twitter. I think people just need you need to have the correct mindset to work especially in the limelight. You need to have the mindset to go, okay, my work is never perfect. People are going to, people will look at my work and they won't think it's good, or they'll think it's good or they think it's bad, and I've got to prepare myself for that. And if a lot of them think it's bad, then there's obviously something wrong on my part or someone else's part that we need to do better. And
Exactly.
you have to, honestly, it needs a lot of self-reflection. If I made a video and someone said, "Oh, these visual effects and graphics are shit," I'm not going to blame them for not liking them. I'm just going to say, okay, maybe there's something I did wrong. Maybe, or maybe I didn't make a very informative video. Maybe I something happened wrong with the graphics and I didn't see it. Or maybe I'm just biased against my own work to mean that I didn't see a flaw in it. So you've got to be able to look at yourself and your own work and say, well, maybe they're not wrong, and maybe I'm wrong.
It's part of being able to accept criticism and realize what someone is saying is relevant or not. It's that simple. And that happens every day on this YouTube channel. I get comments from people who feel that I'm a sexist or a white supremacist or some other flavor of the spectrum I'm not respecting enough, or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, I just made a video about the plot of a video game. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I have to sort of filter that between what's relevant and what's not. And the same thing you do in life. So these are life lessons, and better to get it on a bunch of words on the screen or on your phone than to get it in person. Because when someone starts screaming at you in person, there's a bit of a difference there between that and, let's say, your keyboard or your display screen for whatever device you're using. So,
It's kind of easy to snipe at somebody from Twitter, admittedly enough, and I think that's why all these weirdos and all these people who do call you all these ists and phobes, they like to remain on Twitter, and they don't really like to engage in dialogue at all. They just like to
Arachnophobes.
yeah.
The fucking spiders, they're so fucking scary.
Like, you're an arachnophobe. If you don't like The Last Jedi, you're an arachnophobe. Someone let you know about that. That's why they like to stay on Twitter, because they can just say their statement and they can just block whoever comes in. They don't have to retort. They don't have to engage in dialogue. They can just scream their head off at you over Twitter, to snipe at you no matter what.
I just wish I could go to everyone
YouTube requires dialogue. YouTube requires, if you join someone on the stream, you make a video, if you make a response video, it's someone will respond to you and they'll have their own audience. It's a big difference. It's a big difference between sniping at someone on Twitter and talking to someone relatively face to face over stream, whatever.
I just got a super chat from Mr. Zorant00. Sorry for not noticing that. I was reclining and listening to everyone else. Everything is sexist. Everything is racist. Everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out. Gee, quote the person who said that. That's why.
Who could it possibly be? Who? Let me think.
Some genius.
That's why it's true that Miss Tran has been harassed, because anything you do or say to about her is harassment. Good vibes. Okay.
I think a lot of people definitely have the mindset of everything is racist, everything is sexist. So whenever anything bad happens, they're going from the mindset of it is racist, is sexist, and then they work backwards to try and explain it, rather than looking at it and then coming to the conclusion.
That sounds like Marxist critique. That's exactly the dialectic that you would use when you study critical analysis or even media critique over, thousands of years. The thing that pops up, I think, is functionalism at the same time as Marxism and the dialectics therein. So, yeah, they work backwards. So they have a conclusion first, and they go, how can I make this make sense? Synthesis, and then they go back to thesis. And like, okay.
You don't like The Last Jedi? How dare you not like The Last Jedi? You are therefore sexist. I'm not really sure how, but you are. I'm going to find out.
Let's go through your timeline. Let's go through your YouTube videos. Let's go through your Facebook post. Let's go through your entire online presence. Oh, you said something about a Trump? He's a Trump supporter.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, he's wrong.
You don't think Trump is literally Hitler?
Hitler? I once heard that Hitler and Trump both drank water at one time.
Oh.
Checkmate.
Like, just kind of have a little bit of a small rant. Like, I think that no one's life is fucking perfect. No one. A lot of people have difficult lives. A lot of people have to work to get to where they are in life. And I think a lot of people will look at not just like feminists or social justice warriors. it's also even white supremacists will do this, and they'll look at someone and they'll think, okay, they're doing better than me, and then they'll rationalize it, and they'll say, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z attribute, and they'll start to say, oh, well, it's because the reason why I'm not there is not because I didn't work hard enough. It's not because I didn't do this, it didn't do that. Oh, it's because they have some kind of advantage. I think, well, there's probably cases you can make for some people having more advantage than others, especially with things like money, but no one's life is fucking easy. So I think it's kind of a mute point to say, well, oh, this person has, oh, you have an easy life because of your X, Y, and Z attributes. It's like, no, everyone has to deal with fucking something.
It's pretty bad even in Canada because they expect this apologetic tone before we even start talking about anything. You just apologize just for breathing, basically, and then you say, okay, well, I don't like this and that, or this is what happened. And it could be about anything. It could
go
be
sorry.
Yeah, Canadians are just infinitely sorry about our donuts, our coffee, our beer. Like everything is bad. We're so sorry. We're not like Europe, or we're not like the States in whatever capacity. It's always second rung to whomever else.
Oh, here in England, everyone's trying to be really polite. So I was too polite. I was just going back to one of my commissions. I worked for a YouTuber named Awesome Crunch, and he's English too. And we were both going back and forwards. He didn't we were both being really polite. Like, I didn't want to charge him too much, and he didn't want to pay me too little. So we're always being really polite for
Yeah.
half an hour. It's like, okay, I need to set some kind of standard for what the fuck I charge for these things, because this is the kind of conversation I end up getting.
Yeah, no, that's happened about twice to me before in my own career. So it does happen, but that's a good thing. That's like you like the guy, you want to treat him right. He likes you, he wants to treat you right. That's a good form of business, at least, because that's you're doing business together. We're talking about apologizing for just to sound nice, so the person doesn't get aggressive or doesn't hate you for not genuflecting whenever they ask you to. So, and I've seen that not just with strangers, but with girlfriends, with their family members, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a larger thing to want apologies in today's age for whatever reason, because you might dislike something passionately.
You Canadians are so fucking weird.
Yeah, I know.
And that's exactly how I would describe almost all of the discourse surrounding The Last Jedi. As of the writing of this script, The Last
That's
Jedi
sad.
came out 11 months ago, and I still get comments on the Avatar video about how terrible The Last Jedi was. I still can't tweet.
Maybe because people have criticisms and they think that the film is poorly made.
Yeah, it was, because it was terrible. It was a terrible movie. It should be. It's one of the, not only was the movie terrible, it's one of the most terrible movies made in modern history. And that's why people just bring it up, because it's a really good go-to example of what a terrible movie is. A recent terrible movie is.
It's like talking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's like it's never going to go away. We can
It's
never.
so bad.
It's kind of like why people still reference Hitler, even though Hitler was 1945.
God, guys, stop bringing up Hitler. What, you some kind of Hitler harasser?
They bring up Hitler all the time. That's why people still bring up Hitler, because he's a really good example of a person to point to who was downright evil.
It's like, I'm sure he's gonna say people are in the comments saying like mean stuff about the film being bad, and he was just like, I just mentioned it in passing, and it's like people have strong opinions about this movie, man. And it's like just dismissing them, which is what this is. This is just being dismissive, is not gonna like make people change their minds. You need to present arguments.
Yeah, it tends to be their usual strategy is to bring up something, attach it to the people they don't like, and something bad, and then attach it to all the people they don't like. So they're all the people who hate The Last Jedi, which he just pretty much said. Most of the discourse, he would describe all the discourse this way, is that they are all harassers and people who are mean to the actors and everything. So it would be easier in that fashion, in that way, to dismiss all of their critique, no matter what it is.
And I want to know where he gets this information. If it's just his channel, then okay, maybe he has more insight into this than we do. But point to a website, point to a social media platform, a forum, doesn't matter which. Just let's see it. Let's see how bad it gets, because I've never seen something that bad that isn't some sort of Tumblr response or some sort of tweet that's like this is like a paragraph.
In the comments. So, Ivan the Mad Vandal. Yes, when someone deletes a comment or removes it, in fact, you can still see the comment yourself. If you want to see if it's still there, you have to go onto another channel or at least log out your own to see to view it externally. Me and Evan both did an experiment on his channel. We both put comments there. While we can both see our own comments, well, we were able to see each other's originally, but then about a few hours after that, they vanished. And I did a quick experiment. Is if you remove a comment, you can still see it, but no one else can. So yeah, he's probably deleted your comment. Maybe.
Very strange, to say the least. I don't know if he's deleting comments necessarily, but something's going on here with the comments.
No, I think he's absolutely removing comments.
Yeah,
we could both see them originally. They're not getting caught or held for review. We both saw each other's comments, and then they disappeared.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants a safe space, and that is his video, and it's this this video.
What did he refer to?
Why didn't you delete the comments in your last Airbender video if they bother you that much, man? You seem to be apt in doing that at least on this video.
No, it's not a safe space. He called it a positive space.
Oh, he actually has a name for it. That's amazing.
He called it in the beginning of the video. It's like, no, Kylo, go away. This is a positive space. I don't want the Last Jedi haters.
Oh boy. Okay.
Tweet about liking The Last Jedi without people immediately telling me how dumb I am for liking
Probably
it.
because you are, mate.
Here's a fun drinking game. Go look up whatever Last Jedi director Ryan.
You're dumb for liking it, or you're not allowed to like the film. Who says that?
I just want to say that he's probably, he's not dumb for liking the film. He's probably just dumb for just judging by this video. That is.
Much. I'm sorry. This video is terrible. This is really bad, and it's like I don't know. This guy's just responding to non-arguments, and he is being as flowery as possible to try to like emotionally manipulate people. But I'm like, dude, no one tells you you're dumb for liking a film. People think the film is bad. It's as simple as that.
Ryan Johnson's most recent tweet is, and scroll down. Take a sip.
Because he is a cyberbully. Flat out. He is incredibly dismissive of everyone's criticisms of The Last Jedi, and he doesn't care about any of that.
Ryan Johnson is a modern day Pygmalion. He just fell in love with The Last Jedi.
That's one way of describing him. It's hard to get a grasp on this mentality. It's like he can't think critically, which annoys the crap out of me because he's the guy who just made a whodunit mystery. It's like, how do you do that? How do you turn your brain off in one case and then turn it on when you're still writing in another case? It doesn't make sense.
For every person calling The Last Jedi garbage, and do a shot for every death threat. Congratulations, you have alcohol poisoning now. What a fun...
But none of the ones he fucking showed were a death threat. No.
Okay, what death did he show? Death threats? What were
the death threats? Then you might have wanted to show some of those comments so we have some proof.
What are these death threats? Usually, when they say death threats, they say something like "die in a fire" or something. Those aren't death threats.
Fucking house, and I'll find you, and when I do, I'll murder your fucking.
That's a death threat when you're specific. Like just
death threats are usually done in the first person, and it's an action.
Goes to Ryan Johnson and says you're gay. That's not a death threat.
Oh.
Oh no, he said the movie was bad. So no, he's a death threat.
Yeah.
It's usually I'm going to X, Y, or Z. This I am going to blank. And if it involves any sort of crime like murder, then you have yourself possibly a death threat. But if it's like die in a fire, or even if it's I hope you X, Y, and Z, it's not a death threat. That's not a death threat. Okay? You're just expanding the definition of what a death threat is for the sake of your argument. And that's dishonest.
Game. So my question to everyone doing this is, why though? Honestly, what are you accomplishing? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are you referring to us, or are you referring to the people who you made up? Like, no one is doing
If he is referring
crazy
to us, like if he is referring to us, maybe we want to criticize something so we don't get the same shit again.
So we have to
Also,
Even if it
imagine
was good,
there's this.
even if it wasn't good, and even if there's no such thing as objectivity, even if it was good, if a lot of people weren't happy with it, the capitalist market is just going to say, well, I'm not interested, goodbye, and the film's not going to make enough money. So obviously that means that they should, even if it's good or not, they should want to be able to make it enjoyable for everyone.
Like, can you imagine he gets his trilogy for Star Wars? Who's going to go watch that?
And the people who wear directed by Ryan Johnson shirts.
Yeah.
To say she's gonna watch that film, he'd have an audience.
Those people and critics. Like he's gonna have an audience of critics waiting to watch the movie and tear it apart when they get home.
do not think that
What
trilogy is
do you
ever
mean
going to
when
be
you get
made.
home?
It's been
What do
several
you mean
years, so.
What do you mean when he gets home? Because I'm just going to sit here and pirate the damn Smud Boy. Maybe you should pirate a certain Star Wars film that I can't legally say because that would probably end up with a cease and desist.
I'm still busy crying over Picard, so I'm like, it's like I'm enjoying it. The other side of my brain's
I
like,
heard that they said like they have swear words. Like they say fucking shit.
oh wow, the Federation's so evil, so dark.
I don't think.
Why would they do that? Why would you add that dimension into Star Trek?
Oh,
I mean, they said damn every once in a while. But that's about
Yeah.
it.
what the hell? That was Riker's thing. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, they did it every once in a while. That's fine. But they're adding in all this other slang. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not Star Trek.
I understood when Data did it because he was just developing emotions. So that was like, all right, he's in a movie, whatever. It's changing the tone. I'm not against changing the tone. I'm against changing lore without actually describing why.
The character or the actual.
Actually,
Well, when you look
Very
at
funny thing.
Starfleet as a whole, and this is the central conflict for Picard, Starfleet does an action that Picard doesn't like, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's fine as a precursor to Picard's situation, but it's like, what the hell happened to Starfleet? That's a giant organization. For them to come to this conclusion, I want that fleshed out. So I'll give it some leeway, saying this is probably going to get explained later because it's a central conflict, but I'm still sitting there going,
it's not going to be explained.
it better be.
It's not.
It
It's
better.
not. Look.
I'll be diving into Picard
people who
soon.
made
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Trek
yeah.
Discovery. Do you really think the people who made Star Trek Discovery are going to explain any of this shit?
Well, there's only 2 people on the writing team, and there's 5 writers for Picard. So Shaban is actually a pretty good writer. So I'm hoping he shines out more than the rest of the other 2 people there. The other 2 guys I don't know, but it's just like it just irks me. But it's not game breaking. Like it's not trash. It's just confused. It's like central conflict, kind of important. All right, we'll get to that later. Anyway, back to Star Wars.
Yeah, no, they're still all here, even though it really seems like you've been taking my crazy pills. Criticism.
Okay, anyone who mentions that they have crazy pills in a joke and he actually makes the sound effect that he actually grabbed pills, it's like, okay, you're pushing that joke a bit far. I'm believing you now.
Also, he just checked. He himself just said he checked all the responses to Ryan Johnson, all the supposed death threats.
Yeah.
He just did that, and he said they're still there. So that means you can see them. Why can't you show them in the video? Like, what's wrong with you just posting these death threats?
And
supposed death threats?
why doesn't Ryan Johnson care?
Yeah, I mean, if they're legitimate death threats, I'm pretty sure if they were legitimate death threats and not just something you say on the internet, things you say on the internet, they would be gone from Twitter.
Yeah, so
And
they're
or
either authentic,
legal action would be taken.
they're serious and authentic, or they're just a bunch of people on Twitter. Like it's what side do we take here? Is this really a problem, or just a bunch of people that don't like a movie, or aren't very articulate or very polite?
Criticism is healthy and necessary. Expressing that
Yes.
criticism on your personal Facebook or Twitter feed is 100% fine. Yelling that
Oh, thank you.
criticism at the
Bling
director of the film
criticism.
Yelling
Yelling
criticism.
the criticism?
What?
Where? Okay, so where's the video of someone yelling in Ryan Johnson's face? Because otherwise, it's also done on social media. I guess you can only criticize the movie on social media he himself approves of, like Facebook, but you can't do that on Twitter or YouTube.
I was about to say this is the Patrick Phillips syndrome of the whole I'm not saying you can't criticize it, just maybe don't be too angry about it. It's like, what is the difference between being angry and being just critical about something? You need to define what those mean rather than just saying it's okay to criticize something, but yelling the criticism is bad.
Yeah.
I just think this guy like imagines like that, you know, that kid on like YouTube is like, I'm about to lose my fucking marbles. Like, and just that's what they think.
I know a lot of
Like-
people prefer when critics are just, stiff upper lip, no emotion, and I prefer that too sometimes. But if you react to something emotionally, you have every right to express yourself, and people are going to be like, "Oh, this guy's just an angry person." It's like, well,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what we say all the time that they have every right to like the movie The Last Jedi. But you know what else? I have every right, and anyone else has every right to be as angry and disgusted as they want at The Last Jedi as they want to be.
I just got a update from my phone telling me that space warping stars prove Einstein was right again. Oh, God, I love that when Einstein was right.
I thought the flat Earth theory is right.
I don't think Einstein said that, but he might have.
No, I was just pissing about. I don't think he's ever said the world just.
Who's already heard those criticisms 8 million times 11 months after the film came out is no longer criticism, it is harassment.
No, it's just people on Twitter.
This is the guy
It's
that
still
doesn't believe
criticism.
he's heard a single valid criticism of the fucking film.
It's still criticism, okay? Just because someone says it 11 months later doesn't stop it from being criticism.
Whether or not you put Ryan Johnson's handle in the end of your tweet doesn't make it any less valid. So
Exactly.
If you're subtweeting a total stranger to tell them how stupid they are for liking something or not liking something, it is harassment.
no, it's not.
That's what Twitter's for. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's specifically what Twitter is for.
You could say, "I love the sun. It's bright and shiny," and then someone's going to say, "You an idiot. The sun is a horrible death ball. You're you crazy, insane person." Happens every day.
And people disagree online. It happens.
Break the fuck, like, holy shit, people disagree on, oh my god.
I mean, granted,
People
it might
have
not happen.
different opinions.
It might not happen as much in these people's perspective because they tend to live in little sanitized, safe space bubbles. So they see disagreement as something novel or aggressive or harassment, but it happens. It happens in real life all the time, and it also happens online.
And just like preferably in online, regardless of your platform, you can mute, you can block, you can put the phone down, you can close the tab on your browser. These solutions are readily available to you, so not a big problem.
Let's do a quick exercise in empathy. What if every single time you posted or tweeted about anything you liked, a dozen people immediately responded by telling you how idiotic you are for enjoying that thing, and here's a list of 100 reasons why that thing is stupid?
Oh, let me hold your
Okay,
hand.
what about flip? Okay, flip that. Say, I don't. You literally say, I didn't like something, and a million people jump on you and say, oh my god, you're such a horrible person. You're trying to spread hatred. Oh, you just can't handle that people like something that you hate. Oh, you're just a fucking fanboy. Oh, you're a garbage. Like, that is something that fucking happens in Facebook groups. Like, anyone, go to a Star Wars Facebook group and, say, I didn't like a movie, and people will dogpile on you.
It's just one of those things where it's like, what if a bunch of people dogpiled you, calling you idiot and dumb for liking something? It'd be like, well, it depend. If I like that thing, maybe I took a picture and I posted that to my Twitter. It's like I really like this picture. It's like a cliffside near the beach or something like that. It's like people are like, that looks terrible. It sucks. It's like I'd be like, I don't know, maybe it does. I don't know. It's just something I took though. It's like, okay.
Under these rules, only one particular sort of person has the right to speak. If you like something, you have every right to speak. If you don't like it, you're supposed to shut up, apparently.
That's That's very much what is happening in this video. Whether it's by design or not, he's very much implying that, like, being mean is bad inherently.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and the only way to have a dialogue with this person is like, hey, you know what? I agree with you 100%, but, and then you start saying some general things that might be considered different from his point of view, so that you could actually get a question in there, which is like, hey, you know what? How does lightspeed ramming really work? I don't really I mean, it looked great. I loved it. I totally love your opinion.
Holy shit, the fucking bigot, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like you have to like sugarcoat everything to get a question in there. And I just had argued with a chef today, because I'm a big food critic. I don't know if you guys, I don't care if you watch my Twitter feed or not, but it was this guy who posts on Instagram all his amazing food, and no one replies on Twitter except for me. And I'm like, oh, I love this guy. I love this guy. Boom, boom, boom. Then he started talking about sticky toffee pudding. And I know sticky toffee pudding not very well, but fairly well in Toronto. And his was the most disgusting soup bowl-filled toffee with a little piece of cake. And I'm like, dude, I love your restaurant. I love your recipes. This thing grosses me out, etc., etc. I've been doing this for 10 years. Everyone loves it. Some people lick their bowls. Blah, blah. It's like, okay, all right, chill out. Just
Relax.
maybe try a different dessert after 10 years. Maybe, I don't know, ice cream. I don't know, something. But no, keep doing the same thing. And again, he has a reason to think that way.
It's the same reaction. A lot of these. Have you ever watched Hell's Kitchen? Not Hell's Kitchen, but Kitchen Nightmares.
Right.
It's the same thing. They always tell Chef Ramsay, all these people love my food, and Ramsay says, "This is garbage."
Yes, I know.
And raw.
My fans love it.
Raw.
It's like a guy who routinely goes out. I was about to post to the review I gave him 2 years ago to see how much I love his restaurant, but like you have to get on their good side, 100%. I'm not your enemy, blah 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 blah, and I really don't like your cutlery. It really sucks, or your dishware, or it's too loud, or give them something that you really hate, so they can understand you. That's the only way you can get in a point in edgewise. They can't just say, maybe I'm using too much sugar. Maybe I'm caramelizing the sugar, by 2 cups. Maybe that 2 cups of sugar is too much. Maybe, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I could get a coronary tomorrow. Yeah, it's possible. So there's lots of things to benefit you when you learn to communicate to these people. And, it's I know it's their livelihood. I know they have all this evidence to support that they're doing the right thing. It's like, hey, you know what? I want to help you. I want you to make a better product. And you have to get under that door, just get under that little veneer of positivity and say, all right, I'm your friend, but can you answer one question? So that's what you got to do. You got to bend over just to get a response out of these people.
The compliment sandwich.
Yeah, it's really.
Hey, I love your stuff. You're really good, but I don't really I think you're doing this part wrong. But the rest of it looks really tasty. That sort of stuff.
Oh, actually, that kind of reminds me of. I've just hit my mic. The in creative media, when you have to get a thing called peer review, and for every one criticism you make of like a way they can improve, you have to include like 2 positives.
What?
And sometimes if someone makes something like really, I'll be completely honest. This rule came around because of me, because I was putting too many negatives on people's work. So they said, okay, look, you can't. For every one negative you have to make 2 positives. And I was literally stuck trying to review someone's like really terrible Photoshop pixel animation. I was like, I really can't find any fucking things. Like I can't come up with any good things. And it was like I got told off because I couldn't put anything in there. It's honestly just it's insane.
It's like a life lesson. If you don't have anything negative to say about another person, okay. But if you're talking about their work, it's like, all right, here we go. How do I diplomatically tell them you suck? Focus on the work, be objective, etc., etc. Be as professional as possible, obviously. But if you butter them up while you're there, they'll accept criticism a little better. So sometimes that's the only way to do it.
And you're stupid for liking it. Would you feel grateful for their quote-unquote criticism, or would you hate it because you're a sane human? Not
if you don't like it, you're not a sane.
You're insane.
You're not giving context for what's going on. You're just saying these people are just saying you're dumb.
Give
for,
some fucking evidence. Okay, go into
Exact-
Twitter. No, just this guy. Go into Twitter and make a post. Look at the retweets and that, and then show us that. Okay, that is completely fine to use as evidence, and you could honestly make a fucking argument about that. But you're not referencing anything here. You're just stating it as true. Like, this is just true apparently, and you're acting like this isn't the other way around. As I mentioned with the Facebook groups, all you have to say is that you don't like it, and all of a sudden you're out of that fucking group.
Doing that to someone else isn't even about being a good Star Wars fan. It's about being a good person.
Oh my god. Every criticism is negative. Oh my god. You're a bad person.
You can never say something is objectively good.
Don't be mean. That's this video. Just if you want this video, just click on it. Just
don't be a
on
dick.
screen
Yeah,
in the
that's
video.
pretty much it. Just don't be crappy to each other, guys. Okay. Oh yeah, and don't say anything negative about the stuff I like.
And then just add 30 minutes of fucking bollocks.
Music, it's like, come on.
This is like the nice version of Patrick Willems. If you don't like what I like, I don't want to be your friend.
It's like it's the far less pretentious version, but it comes off almost as pretentious with just how like inoffensive he's trying to be. But it's just like you're looking at it from our side, you're like, dude, come on, just provide some arguments.
A good person. Art is subjective. Art is
Voice is what's
emotion.
Come on, man. Please don't do that.
Use the piano music and flowers in the background.
Dev's dead. He's dead, Dave.
And that behavior is the opposite of what Star Wars is literally about.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Like Star Wars is about hope. It's about family or something like that. It's about bringing everyone. You don't
Mass
say
Effect
that
is about stopping the Reapers.
We could be talking about a horror film or horror film series. That's the opposite of what they do in the horror film. It's like they murder people. What are you talking about?
What, Joker? Oh,
Exactly. It's like oh.
Joker goes around killing people. That means we should go around killing people.
Didn't you learn anything from listening to Rose?
It's all about
unironically said that.
Fighting what we hate,
saving-
not saving what we love. Oh, fuck. Got the wrong way around. Honestly, it makes about the same sense that either way around.
Yeah.
Because apparently you can't fight what you hate. But you can't say what you love by fighting what you hate, apparently.
Yeah,
you don't
we
have to hate it. You just have to defend.
give underhanded criticism. We can't give directly. We can't say, "Hey, this sucks because ABC." It's like we really like your work, but you know that thing you did with the blue color. That's not what we want. And then behind the back, you're like swearing, you know, how horrible this person. Like it's just this veneer of lies, just to get in and say what you actually feel. This is silly. Just say what you want. It shouldn't be that hard.
Our peacekeepers, hatred and aggression are the dark side.
Told
There was
you.
a child in the news a few
You
months
said
ago
it.
that refused to fight
You're
back
joining the
against-
dark side if you criticize the
Don't
film.
like
It's like you're not.
You're the
hopeful.
fucking
It's
guy.
like-
You're Darth Vader himself. You are the Emperor. Just because you didn't like a film.
This is not the Jedi way. Is this guy like his entire philosophy is being a Jedi? Is that the thing?
I
Too
imagine like
much, it seems.
in a room like criticizing some Hollow movie, and Anakin's like, that's shit, and then Yoda just kind of turns around, he looks really pissed off. It's like, criticism movies is a dark side of it.
Yeah, criticism leads to hate. Hate leads to anger. Hate leads. It's like, oh no.
Hate leads to you being a bad person.
Getting blocked on Twitter or whatever. Yeah.
his bullies because, quote, it's not the Jedi way. And
What the no, you should definitely fight back against bullies, otherwise they're gonna keep fucking doing. That is the wrong sentiment to go.
Yeah.
Because if you're
Talk
not
about
defending
this. The
yourself,
people say that Luke, like, not fighting on Crate is like the most Jedi thing to do, is not to do anything. And it's like that's never been the Jedi way. Just not doing anything at all. It's like
Sit there and then die. It's like, what? No, it's not a good idea. Stand
but
up for
I thought the
yourself,
Jedi's had
goddammit.
this thing called lightsabers, and they use them to protect people and
They
themselves.
have these super lethal weapons that they only pull out for special occasions. It's like, yeah, we just use that sometimes. It's like every other scene they're using a lightsaber. It's called
Even if
conflict.
you're the weakest kid on the fucking playground, and you're up against like the biggest fucking asshole there, if he picks, if he starts picking on you, you have to make sure that you're not going to roll over, because otherwise it's just going to lead to more. That is like the worst thing you could possibly encourage someone to keep going, because there's no kind of pushback from it.
That's the part that hurts the most about this whole thing. When I was that 7-year-old
Why?
kid with the pod racing
back to the
backpack and
anecdotes.
laser blasts from imaginary destroyer droids,
What?
if someone came up to me and said, "Dude, what are you doing? Episode 1 is garbage. The writing is objectively terrible, and Padme was a total Mary Sue, and
What?
Jar Jar made
What did you guys think about the prequels, like when you were younger, like 10 years ago? I was a kid
Well,
around that time, and I loved it. So
I wasn't even
I
born
I
when
was
Phantom
watching
Menace came out.
I don't know if someone said that they were bad, I'd probably be like, I don't know, I still like them.
Well, when you're a kid, you
I wasn't
just
as
kinda
critical
like,
about
it's
movies.
flashy things. Oh, it's explosion. Oh, it's this. Oh, that's
Exactly.
freaking laser beams.
For a kid, you're just
Uh,
watching a film and enjoying.
It was mostly the
Particularly.
spectacle. That's what Star Wars films are. They're space operas. So if the spectacle is
I
there,
absolutely-
then you say, "Oh, this is going to be entertaining," and that's why the first three films were largely entertaining, because you don't have to think about them, even though you notice, like, okay, this is a bit off, this is a bit weird, this is a bad dialogue.
The Battle of Coruscant. Oh my god, I still love it now. Just like the continuous one shot of like flying through this big space battle. The space battle makes no fucking sense because all the ships are all over the place, and the space battle just seems to be kind of forgotten about after they crash land on the planet. But still,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
damn
a
good spectacle.
big space spectacle or battling spectacle, and that's, I think it was like Final Fantasy 12 or 13. I can't remember which one it was, but it's like, oh, like the opening cinematics, like, oh, there's all these spaceships coming. It's like, oh, it's like Star Wars. This is gonna be cool. And I think it was Vosh or Vaughn. You played as Vaughn, this blonde, effeminate guy who takes on an evil empire, yada yada. So it's like, oh, this is. It feels like you're playing a Star Wars world that's been Japanesed and JRPG'd, and that was cool. I thought that was a cool game. It's not the best version of Final Fantasy, I'd give it that, but it really resonated because it reminded me of Star Wars, or at least the prequels. So the prequels aren't great films. I think we could all sort of pick it apart to death to see how bad they are, but they're fun.
Start doing that.
They're fun, they're entertaining, and they end on an arc that at least it had a beginning. We knew where it was going, right? And it went there. It's like the Titanic is going to sink. We know it's going to happen. We don't know how, but it's going to get there. So how it got there was pretty bumpy. Okay, pretty weird.
If Ryan Johnson was directing the prequels, he'd probably make it like an alternate timeline or something. It's like, oh, Padme actually becomes Darth Vader, and because of the time
Well,
travel, it goes back in time.
I
Actually, that probably JJ did it.
I think they got progressively better. But it's a hugely flawed series, of course, but they worked.
Yeah. Again, as I've said before on these streams, the ideas are there. Like a lot of the designs and the creativity and certain characters like Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, at least in their designs and the idea of those characters, are some fantastic fucking ideas, but they're just not executed.
Yeah, I think we all agree that the ideas are there. They're not presented and explained and developed. The dialogue is not very tight. The cinematics, everything visually has always been great, which is always what you expect from a space opera. If you
I
don't
would
have the visuals, forget about it, right?
I would say even though the prequels don't have as good CGI, the way they use CGI at least is a lot better, because when George Lucas thinks of something, he's got a lot of vision in the back of his mind of how something is going to look, and it'll often look very good. You know, you can see so many scenes where it's like you don't even notice it. The camera is like up in the sky and it's turning around, and it's close to something, and you don't notice how great the camera photography, like the cinematography is. But then you go to something like The Last Jedi, or I suppose Last Jedi actually had some good, all right, photography, cinematography, but the Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens specifically, there was just so many like weird static shots, and there's like a one weird zoom in shot, and a lot of the cinematography just feels really uninspired and just doesn't have any vision behind it whatsoever.
There are faults and failings in the visuals, but for the most part, they're nice to look at. And that's, again, if you're going to a film and you're going to a sci-fi or space opera or any sort of big battle scene, they have to look good. And as weird as the Last Jedi fight scene in the throne room was, visually it's nice to look at. It's just once you stop and think about it, you're like, oh, this is really bad.
But this guy claims like Padme to Mary Sue.
Well, I think he's being hyperbolic. I hope so. I can't say.
I know he's being hyperbolic. It's like, oh, if Star Wars fans were going back to 10 years ago, they would probably think that the Padme is a Mary Sue. It's like, well, okay, let's look at this character. Is there anything that does she always win? Is she the absolute best at everything? Does she fail? And honestly, I can't think of a lot of things off the top of my head to do with Padme. I'm more thinking of things that happen with Qui-Gon and with Anakin and with Obi.
And the only things you can think of, well, I can think of, if you wanted to try to label Padme as a Mary Sue, would be that she was somehow elected queen at the age of 14, and she is a genius, but she's not Mary Sue level. She seems to be like, it's fine. It seems to be like I think you can attribute the elected queen at 14 or whatever thing to just how their culture works. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, she's raised to be that way.
Yeah.
I would have had Padme be a princess rather than a queen, because then obviously 14 is just too fucking.
Yeah, it's too young to be queen. Well, especially if you elect these queens, like they say Naboo does. I don't know how a 14-year-old gets elected to do anything.
And it's a form of monarchy, and then she's on the Senate. It's like, wow, this is going really well for her. She's just
it's really strange. I think I've already said this before, but I believe the reason why it's an elected thing is because George Lucas didn't want the Leia to be part of a monarchy, because obviously monarchies aren't a very good thing.
Especially now when you have the evil emperor. But the Padme is not a Mary Sue. I mean, she's not, for one, she's not the main character, so that gives her some leeway. Rey was the main character, so we wanted to see her develop and grow. Padme could have had some skills. She sort of started off with a lot of things. Also, Padme, we could assume by her status as queen, that she has probably, even before her reign as queen, probably received some sort of education, unless it was specified otherwise. Then she probably got some education, got some training. She had a good background, because usually, let's say we take our own senators, take our own congressmen. They usually go to these high-end schools. They're usually very well educated. I'm not sure how well. It depends on how well they use that education, but they are educated nonetheless. Normally, and they usually have a very nice background. Usually, much of the time.
Yeah.
So you can assume the same about Padme.
I think we'll go with just exaggeration on his part. I don't think he's literally trying to mirror the two. That'd be too awkward to even consider. Start debating. You're like, oh boy, this is gonna be a waste of time. So yeah, he's just being hyperbolic. That's fine.
I think the best way to prevent the monarchies in Star Wars would to literally just have them be like obviously how the British monarchy is, where they have a lot of money, but they don't really have any real power. So they're more symbolic than anything.
Yeah,
they're more traditional, and they could have done that. I think it probably would have worked a lot better.
They could have done a lot of things to give more depth to all the characters in the setting. It depends what is necessary for the characterization of the Queen, and why that is relevant to the Jedi and the world. So
I think it might be a case-by-case basis, because there's some worlds where the way they present it, it seems to be an actual bloodline, and other worlds it seems to be not a bloodline. In like Naboo, it seems to be elected. So
like
it's a bit iffy.
if that was part of her romance arc, where it's like, I'm going to give up the monarchy or whatever to be with Anakin, oh, great. That really, that adds to what she's sacrificing.
Character.
Yeah. But, there's really no need to go into detail unless it adds to the plot or adds to the characterization. So it's like, all right, is it going to add conflict later on? Is she going to give up everything to be with Anakin? How tragic is her character going to be? Because we know it's going to happen to him. That would have been great. But how far do you go is the question. So
made me want to kill myself. Only an idiot would enjoy that movie. Honestly, I would have either become and Jar Jar made me want to kill myself. Only an idiot would enjoy that movie. Honestly, I would have either become a very closeted Star Wars fan or would have stopped being a Star Wars fan entirely. I never would have been a part of the fandom, and I never would have been inspired to do what I do today.
What was he saying? If people negatively criticized him, or if he thought that they were like, I'm trying to understand what he's saying. Is he saying that if he thought it was that way, or if he's saying other people?
Then that he would probably have been a closeted fan or something like that.
Yeah, he's saying that he's weak-willed or he can't take other people's reactions, and he would shy away. It's like, okay, that's his opinion, that's his personality, that's fine.
Yeah, because people who didn't like the movies are also allowed to voice their opinion.
I know, and this is the problem. It's like, I don't want anyone to fight. It's like, dude, no one agrees with you, okay? Listen.
It seems to be the constant point that he's trying to make here, is that if you didn't like a movie, you should probably shut up, because if you say you didn't like the movie, then other people might feel bad.
Oh,
poor people.
The poor fanboy.
7 years old watching the prequels, and someone said they're bad movies. You're dumb for liking them. I don't think I would care all that much. It's like, what?
First time, who
I don't know.
Would say that to a kid?
Really matter.
Who would say that to
What?
a kid, though?
Well, if I was a kid
on the grade school during recess, like, shut up, Steven. Yeah, go get the hell out of here.
If I were a kid who was told that I was dumb for liking these movies, I would think they were dumb for disliking these movies.
Yeah.
If I were a kid,
that would be the simple logic.
No, I don't think you can really counter this. It's just something he's saying that's I don't know.
It's a very personal, weird anecdote. You're like, okay, I guess so. I guess that's how you'd be.
It's just put in there for emotional manipulation. That's all.
I guess. I don't know.
I wouldn't
feel bad for me. Feel bad for those people.
Fan. What the fuck? Why should people care if you became a Star Wars fan or not? I can admit that Star Wars has had a pretty big impact on my life, but his life, I don't know. And even then, I think even if Star Wars wasn't a big part of my life, I probably would have just found something else. In fact, I found a lot of things that I love: Star Trek, Stargate, all kinds of shit, Mass Effect, Lord of the Rings.
We'll just say he's a very sensitive young man. Let's just go with that.
Because as a kid, you're very easily influenced. You're trained to accept what adults tell you is good or bad, no matter.
Which, they can be easily influenced. That's why we should give them good fucking movies as a standard. Because when kids absorb things, it just goes straight into their brain. No kind of critical thinking whatsoever. Because they'll see Rey on screen and they'll think, oh, that's how a hero should be. Bland.
already awesome. If you're not already awesome and epic and perfect in every way, as soon as you hit the screen, you can't be a hero.
Yeah.
Also, how is Rey supposed to be good for little girls? It's kind of like the unrealistic expectations thing. It's okay,
hello,
you're
little
giving
girls.
Unrealistic expectations about how they should face the world. They're just going to be good at everything. They're going to leap over every single hurdle. They're going to tell people to stop holding their hand.
The universe will just give you everything.
I just imagine some parent holding the little girl's hand as they walk the street, and she's like, "Don't hold my hand."
How you feel about it, that whole "you'll understand when you're older" thing. And right now, when those kids see anyone online talking about liking The Last Jedi, they see a horde of people telling that person how wrong and stupid.
Think of the kids.
Think of the children.
Somebody think of the children.
Who is doing this?
Oh my god.
Would you think
kids have Twitter accounts?
Yeah. First of all, why do these kids have Twitter accounts? And they shouldn't be on YouTube anyway, unless they're over 13. YouTube. YouTube.
Oh, that
Just,
crazy
look
age
directly
check.
into the
Oh my
camera.
god.
Saying this out there to try to make things look worse than they are. Like, kids do not actively use Twitter and follow Star Wars conversations. They're just making things look worse.
I mean,
This is ridiculous.
If they do have Twitter and if they do have Facebook and they do have YouTube, someone's not doing parenting right.
Yeah, pretty
Probably
much.
the
Yeah.
parents.
I mean, you can't, according to this guy, you can't enact your free will because your free will is offensive to people.
Yeah.
It's kind of the argument. It's like, oh, what if these, parents complaining, oh, what if my child saw something explicit online? It's like, well, that's probably because you're a bad fucking parent and you shouldn't be, like, letting your kid do these things on, like, you should have parent, like, things to stop them.
I mean, it goes both ways. If you say you like The Last Jedi, or if you say you don't like The Last Jedi, if you decide to voice your opinion, you have to expect people to disagree with your opinion and
what
voice
if
the
an
disagreement.
What if an 8-year-old went on the internet and they didn't like the movie at all, and they just go onto the internet and they put something in Facebook, and all of a sudden they just get dogpiled by all these Star Wars, the Last Jedi lovers, and it's like, oh, how dare you not like this film?
See,
oh my god, you're the worst person in the
I would
world.
like that for younger people to get used to people saying negative things, because then you'll build up this idea that, oh, other people have differing opinions and they're going to say contrary things to you. It's like, I should get used to that because that's life.
Yeah, it's a good learning point. It's a good learning
think-
life lesson. Okay.
I'll disagree with that. I think you'd want to slowly, slowly let them learn rather than
but
just
you do that
throwing them on the internet, throwing them to the wall.
You do that in recess anyway, so it's whether it's in online or with words, or it's in person with Steven who's fighting for your cheese or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's gonna happen. So the more the better you get at it. So
Stupid they are. It's gotten to the point where certain people aren't welcome in the Star Wars fandom.
yeah, but that's because the moderators of those groups kick you out for having a differing opinion. So
Because they're a fan of a Star Wars film, which is nonsense. But for those gatekeepers, it's not about loving Star Wars anymore. It's about
Yeah, you gatekeepers.
You're a gatekeeper now.
gatekeepers.
Okay.
You gatekeepers
Yeah.
who tell us that we have to like a film.
Exactly. You're like, you're gatekeeping these people, and these kids are not allowed to like this film. Like, why can't we dislike it? Why can't we say it's objectively bad? This is the trouble, is these people have to disprove every argument. They have to say all of the people who say this movie's bad are wrong. Why can't we all just agree to disagree?
yeah, he is actively gatekeeping his comment section from negative comments or any differing opinion, really. I mean, these guys, Evan and Shiney, you made your post, was it yesterday? On the video? And it was a pretty simple, like, it wasn't like, I hate you, this is crap, I'm going to go and kill, like, nothing over the top. You were just being critical of the movie. That was about it. And they're gone.
All I said was, bad editor, bad, terrible video with good editing. But you don't need to put every single word on the screen as you say it. Stop it. It's annoying. It's just a little understanding about objectivity and subjectivity. Something subjective is how you feel, but something objective is something that you can measure. A plot hole is a logical inconsistency. Or a plot hole or some kind of logical inconsistency is an objective problem in a story. You can feel however you want about it, but it's still there. And it got removed.
I talked a little bit about like art being subjective, and I talked about like craft and how there's like different movies that are like that have different levels of quality to them. Like I talked about 1917 like versus Cats. It's like those quality of those films is not determined by personal opinion. And it's like,
But it's
I
just how
said,
you
like,
feel.
No, yeah, it's all subjective.
How you feel.
What
I was
if
like,
you
it's
feel
the
that
same-
Cats is better the movie than 1917? I mean,
It's made on
Your personal
individual-
opinions are too subjective. They have to be more like mine,
or else you're a gatekeeper somehow.
which he is.
I commented that it's gone now, so I'm like, it's
Yeah.
either moderated or whatever. But one way or another, you can't see it, and you cannot see any negative
Yeah,
comments.
just so you know, the actual critics who criticize things don't moderate comments unless they're out to lunch. Like I remember seeing a Facebook group. I said this before, where it was a fan group of Star Wars, and there was I don't know how many girls in there, but they wanted Justin Bieber to be the next Jedi. And
Oh no!
so they Facebooked his, or they they photoshopped his face onto I don't know whoever. You're like, okay, but they let it go because it wasn't harmful. It wasn't hurting anyone. It was just constant, redundant. Every post someone made, they would throw that in there. And you're like, ugh, this is silly. But that's what you're allowed to do. If you're a fan, you can say stupid shit. But if it's negative,
Well, honestly, just Facebook groups are the worst.
yeah,
The Jedi Fallen Order Facebook group I used to be a part of, it's literally just full of people saying, "How do I do this thing? How do I defeat this boss? How do I find this crate?" It's like you have fucking Google. Go look for yourself.
Just got a super chat from Alexandra Muzelli. Thank you very much. People only use kids when their argument sucks.
It's an excellent point. Yeah, that tends to be the point. To be what happens.
In this case, he's using his own childhood, so it's like, okay, he's getting really personal here.
Think of my childhood.
Think of hey, well, hold on. Aren't all these Last Jedi defenders? They always come out and say they always criticize the Last Jedi supposed haters by mocking them, saying that Last Jedi destroyed their childhoods. Now we're supposed to be thinking about the childhoods. I guess the only people whose childhoods matter are the people who like the Last Jedi. My childhood, I like the Last Jedi.
Last Jedi childhoods matter.
Yeah, only some childhoods matter. And some matter, some don't apparently.
Not all childhoods matter.
Not all childhoods.
No
matter.
true childhoods.
Just some. just some matter. You have to have the right tastes in movies. You have to like the Last Jedi. If you like the Last Jedi, your childhood matters. If you don't like it, you're out of luck.
Owning Star Wars. And it's not just kids that are being put off by it. Christopher McQuarrie, extremely talented director of Mission Impossible Fallout, said that he would have loved.
Why isn't it just kids? If you're an adult apparently, and you have you're being offended by people not liking the Last Jedi, then you are being a big man baby, because apparently the Last Jedi is a movie about space wizards intended for children. Have it on good authority. That's what that is.
Yeah, he's not a child yet. He has to regress.
Yeah, he has to have that Benjamin Button syndrome.
To have directed a Star Wars film, but the treatment of Rian Johnson has cured him of that.
What?
For 5 minutes of this, I don't know why you're still on Twitter. I would have loved to make a Star Wars film someday. I'm cured.
What?
Just make.
I don't know the context.
Wait, what is he talking about?
Yeah,
he's talking to Rian Johnson, but I mean, just write a good one. Do not do what Rian Johnson did and write a bad one. Just write a bad one. Don't write a Star Wars movie that gives a middle finger to the fans.
It can't possibly. I don't understand why it can't possibly be. Why can't Ryan and these people possibly just look inside themselves and think, maybe I didn't make a good film? Is that too much of a fucking impossibility?
Someone from Hollywood being introspective? I don't think so. I'm not gonna be holding my breath. Okay.
I think everyone would have loved to make a Star Wars film. I think that's the general.
I would love to make a Star Wars film.
Everyone on the planet would want to be like, "Oh my god!"
Now, especially now, everyone on the planet.
You're giving me how much money? You're giving me how much resources? What? Really? Like, okay. Let's
now that we know
baby.
how not to make one, it's going to be easier to make a better one.
Yeah, do the exact opposite of Rian Johnson.
Like the kind of people who just can't look at themselves and say that everyone else is the problem, it's not me, is honestly some of the most infuriating people you can ever come across.
Because relentless hatred and destruction doesn't inspire creativity, it just inspires more.
Do you know what inspires creativity? Fucking criticism.
Destruction.
Yeah, so motivated when people are furious at me, or I get furious at them.
Yeah, it's pretty motivating.
Yeah,
and fun.
Yeah,
like
to say like you can take criticism and use it to learn. You can use it to improve your work. That goes for filmmakers and video essayists and everybody. Everyone who gets criticism, like you can use it.
just go up to Ryan Johnson. It's
What
like,
a-
listen, you
What a
Burke.
strange response. It's like saying, you know what? I know how art is made, and it's always positive. It's like, no, dude, have you ever read a book? Writers hate themselves. They have to write. They need to write, or they're going to drive themselves insane. Look at Edgar Allan Poe. Look at James Joyce. Look at all the greats. They've had some really dark times.
Or
And
even close to home, Word of
Especially
the
James
Wolf.
Joyce.
Wolf went through some like shit with his own stuff.
you've had writers commit suicide all the time. Like, this
I like how
happens a
you named
lot.
like the most the most nihilistic writers: Edgar Allan Poe and James Joyce. James Joyce is
Hemingway,
fantastic. I like James
all
Joyce.
kinds of Russian writers. God, there's so many.
Hemingway is my favorite, I think, of all time.
Like they are really disturbed individuals. Okay, they're not like crazy and disturbed, but they're just like traumatized by something. Like you read anything by James Joyce, this guy's a genius.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But when you hear about his personal life, it's like, oh my God, what did you do to get through that? Oh, I wrote Finnegan's Wake after like 12 years. Like, holy crap.
Honestly, I'm really pissed off right now about the guy. This fucking Burke is trying to infer that criticism doesn't like it somehow impedes creativity. Like, no, it's the other fucking way around.
Yeah,
You
it's the exact
bellend.
opposite.
Like criticism helps you become more creative. It helps you hone your craft. It helps you get better. And it's one of the most important things in creativity, in creative media and media in general, and in art. It's one of the most important fucking things because it helps you improve and make your work better.
I'm just getting some song lyrics from Persona 3. Thank you very much, Fran. No one got that quote except for me, I guess, but thank you, Fran. Makes me giggle.
Or destruction, which is why Disney has put all Star Wars spin-offs on indefinite hold, including the Ewan McGregor-led Obi-Wan film that literally
But we're getting a TV show
yeah.
instead. That's
That's
also
our
been
fault.
Yeah, there's
That's
lots of reasons for that.
No, it's
was about
just
to
the
say,
critic's
is he-
fault.
It's
Yeah,
not
I don't.
because we
That's not.
hated them. It's because people weren't going to see them. If people don't go to see them, then they're not making money.
Solo
If
bombed.
they're cack, they're not
Film that
going to
bombed.
make shit.
Yeah, isn't it implied that this movie is going to be reshooting in summer? Was that the implication?
What, the Obi-Wan TV show?
Yeah.
I heard the
Nothing-
Obi-Wan TV
yeah,
show
maybe.
was being put on hold because they're retooling it back into a movie.
Oh,
That's what one
Interesting.
article said.
it should be a series, though. It really should.
Yeah, it should be.
That'd work a lot better.
They seem to be doing
I-
better
I-
with series than movies. Just as an
problem is-
observation.
A movie has so much limited time to tell a story, but a series has so much fucking time to tell a story. It is insane. You can have entire seasons over like arcs, and you can have so much time to flesh out your characters and to tell the story you
I
want
would
to tell.
I would
rather
love
than
to
telling it in a
see
single
a
out.
mini series just on Obi-Wan doing, I don't know, making dinner, whatever. Just have
An Obi-Wan cooking show.
Just
telling
show
you
him
how
like a hermit and to show his daily life on Tatooine before the whole thing with Luke.
yeah.
Actually, if you want to see that, go watch the Obi-Wan fan film. It's far better than anything Disney's kind of shat.
It could be like Ip Man, or the movie just show the life of Obi-Wan before he started training Luke Skywalker. It's kind of like he showed the life of Ip Man, all the stuff he did before he trained Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah. See, I think a story like this would write itself, and this would be pretty much gold for anyone. I would even give it to Ryan Johnson. He could probably do a great job. He's like, dude, Obi-Wan, do it.
I wouldn't give it to that knob. I would never give it to that.
I wouldn't go that
fucking knob.
far.
Well, maybe he stopped talking about going into trilogy discussions again. It's like, oh, dude, just give
Probably
it.
make Obi-Wan some nihilistic hermit. Like he did with Luke.
I would give the Star Wars license to Tommy Wiseau before I give it to that pillar.
Wow.
That'd be interesting.
That
Honestly,
would be.
Tommy Wiseau walks up on a cliff. He's like, "Hey, Mark."
Funny story, Luke.
Well, hello there.
How's your sex life? Just goes to Chewie like, "Hey, doggy."
Like a little 12-year-old Luke.
everyone wanted, you monsters. Like I said, I have always
Wait, he's blaming
We're monsters now.
Because we didn't go see a film. Because the film didn't make enough money, we're the monster.
No. He's blaming us or whomever because Obi-Wan got postponed. Is that?
Yeah, but they got postponed because
You
of
guys
Solo.
critique the movie too much, and now Obi-Wan is postponed. You're all monsters.
I can
think that's a
go-
compliment,
It's not
actually.
because of the critiquing, though. As I just said, it's because Solo lost money.
I can go write a book like John C. Wright did about The Last Jedi, and I guess that would add to the idea that we're still talking about it after all these years.
Because it's terrible. It's a
Yeah.
milestone of awful movie creation.
Why are we still listening to this twat?
Well, we got 10 minutes left, so
Sure, I suppose.
Loved Star Wars, and I would have killed
For you.
many a Bothan or a youngling to get to write anything Star Wars.
Oh, boy.
But now
Kill kids.
You don't want to because you're discouraged because people don't like a bad movie. I get it. You said that already.
Yeah, you know how all these top writers got to where they are now, like Neil Gaiman and all these other people. It's because they were never told no. They were never rejected and they were never critiqued. So their creativity was allowed to flourish. Of course, it's not true. Neil Gaiman specifically said that he was disappointed when he sent in his first story and did not get the big, gigantic check. He did not get the guy in a limo walking up to his house with a big, gigantic check in his arms. He got critiqued instead. Okay? And he did not give up. He was not discouraged from being creative.
I want to know what happened to Ryan Johnson's first draft. I really do. Like, did he submit it and they were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is
This is
gold.
fine. Fantastic.
This is perfect. We just go straight to production."
Should I?
What? You give her
didn't
more
get
powers?
enough.
Awesome.
Like, I really want to know it because the editor would have been like, "Huh, this is really different there, Ryan. I don't know how it's gonna go, but hey, you know what? You're a golden boy, so."
I don't know if they have an original editor, and then he said, "Well, this is awful. Why did you even turn this in? Is it a joke?" And then they fired that guy. And then just wave things through. Move along.
Can you
It's
imagine?
like Tommy Wiseau's the editor, and it's like, "Ha, that's funny, Ryan." And then it's like, "Get the fuck out! You're fired." Tommy.
Can you imagine Make Stuff being the editor, who's gatekeeping
no.
all the Star Wars lore, and he starts
Oh
seeing
god!
this.
If he was the new Pablo Hidalgo, Pablo Hidalgo.
Oh no.
This is your mind on retarded wankers.
It's like, yes, Ryan, it's amazing, it's
I'm
perfect. That's all right.
terrified of doing this YouTube video about it.
When it comes to discussing Star Wars
Oh.
online, I have.
Did you wanna
very
skip these guys?
complicated
Just-
Yeah, I'll just go.
When I talk to people,
To an
Includes these in there. They just
discuss-
will never find a
this
more
fucking-
wretched violent.
All these people are just upset and triggered that they can't other people besides them, people who disagree, can voice their opinion too.
We went through about 15 minutes of him just bashing the haters. Now he's going to dedicate an entire part to talking about the haters. All right.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I hate this fucking wanker.
Well, thank you for
Obi-Wan
telling me it was
Kenobi said
Obi-Wan
it.
As I
Kenobi.
said, this is a video about empathy, and empathy is very hard to come.
Oh, shame!
Don't
'Cause you're
seem
not
very
showing any fucking empathetic.
You're not empathetic towards my views. I mean, I hate The Last Jedi, and you
He's
didn't seem very
taking the
empathetic to
piss.
my critique.
Like, if he thinks this video is about empathy, he's taking the motherfucking piss.
Yeah, he's only
Pissing all
empathetic to
over his
one side.
video. He's put it in the microwave. He's put it in there for about 30 seconds because he couldn't be asked to put it to boil, and then he's kind of shat it out on the internet. That's his video.
Yeah,
With some-
this whole video has been, hey, quote unquote haters, why don't you be empathetic to the people who like The Last Jedi? Like, he's been bashing the other side the entire time. So we have to be empathetic to the people who like The Last Jedi, but he can be unempathetic, freely be unempathetic to people who hate it.
I
I
could
just wish he would stop
That's fair.
knob.
easily ask for an interview with this guy, but I doubt he'd say yes because
Oh, actually,
They usually don't.
Ooh,
They usually don't.
you've just given me an idea. You wouldn't know who I am. I've only got like 60 subs.
go for it. Go,
Oh.
be my guest, my friend. You can.
I get him on there and then sneak in smart boys.
That won't go in. That won't go too well, I don't think.
Get him, Dan.
It's a trap.
by these days
Can't
because the
withstand
internet
fight or
has
criticism of that
broken us.
magnitude.
When I would
The internet has broken us. Oh no.
The internet has broken you. Well, yeah, I guess if you can't handle the internet, leave.
Yeah.
Oh no,
idea.
the scary internet. Oh,
You don't have to be on the internet. It's not. It's not a requirement to be alive.
What an odd thing. The internet has broken the fandom. It's like, no.
I thought that was The Last Jedi.
The movies do that all by themselves.
You know
I mean,
how Bane like
if
throws
critique does change your mind, I mean, that's because you were convinced. You saw like, oh, okay, I didn't see that, but yeah, you're right. It does actually
That's
insult the canon like that.
that's the sad understanding of this video. This guy is so traumatized by other people's opinions. He doesn't want them anymore. He's want go away. Just stop being negative.
Go
Okay.
away. You think I came to the most unfindable part of the galaxy to be found?
Can't you just let us like something? Well, yeah. Why can't you just let me dislike something?
I think TLJ was Bane, and Bane just kind of like snapped Star Wars. Like Star Wars is like Batman, and just kind of snapped the fabrics in two. Actually, maybe a bit disproportionately. Maybe he just snaps the legs off.
I would
Th-
love to
those are the
see,
people who
like,
like
you know how we
Buffy.
had Linkara's weird, kind of silly way of saying he likes stuff, which was stupid because they were silly opinions. I want to see, hey, can you tell us what you like and explain in detail why? As opposed to, it was so fun. It was so exciting. She did a backflip. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay,
You
yeah.
usually get generalities.
It's like, you see that thing she did where she shot 3 TIE fighters at once? Do you think that's even half believable? Ooh, I like this. You just nearly killed a whole bunch of people, including Kylo Ren. And now you're having a great time after everyone's dead? There's like the tone is a bit off there, maybe. There's like the music is off as well. Like there's so many things off with Crate. You could spend another hour just talking about Crate, just the problems with the direction.
No, don't spend another hour talking about Crate.
Yeah,
Please.
we gotta keep going here. Yeah.
The next video, we need to go on something that isn't The Last Jedi.
That would be nice. I vote right now. We will not do another Last Jedi video. At least the next one.
We get to have one break where the stream
Yeah.
is just about anything else,
That's a good
and
idea.
then we can go back to it.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'm all for it.
talk to another Star Wars fan at a convention or comic
Oh, that's actually pretty cool cosplay. I
Yeah, those are
like
good.
Like the fans are so passionate and loving. They create some actually some fantastic stuff.
The only reason you're a fan is because you like something. You're not passionate about dislike. Like that'd be silly. That'd be really weird.
You can only like it. You can only like something if you dislike something from that franchise that you love, you're no longer a fan. Apparently,
I just keep getting flashbacks to like Angry Joe's like Halo video where like people were like attacking him for like basically shitting all over Halo 5, and he basically he goes like, if you don't like call out all this shit they're pulling in this game, then you're obviously never going to get anything better.
yeah, they're just going to keep doing
You
it
critique
over
a
and over
game
again.
because you love a game. And like I just remember that that's going through my head right now. It's like apparently to this people, if you critique something, that means you hate it.
It's always been the
You're going
duty
to
of the
destroy
fans.
the child.
The fans have been the fans are kind of like the watchers of the franchise that they love because they loved it in the past and they want to continue seeing more installments of the franchise, but they want to see future installments stay respectful to the past, adhere to the canon,
No,
the
no,
lore,
you need to
etc.
let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Kill it if you have to. Yeah, that's
Kill
exactly
the
why
past.
that was in that movie. Got to kill the past because they want to go another direction. They hate the established lore of Star Wars. They want instead of having Jedi needing to train, they just want them to be already powerful. So they can have their girl power moment.
shop, if we disagreed on something, it wasn't a big
Oh.
deal. Because before that disagreement, you'd already related to each other through
I'm just
your
getting
mutual
reminded of
love
better
of Star
things.
Wars. And you knew that was another living, breathing human being
Lost is
standing in
Ahsoka.
front of you with their own tastes
Nine
and
Rogue.
opinions and experiences. You
Don't know
had
who the fuck that is.
actual
I don't know who that is.
context. And I think that's one of the
Some
main
OC.
factors in this division of the fandom. The internet
Overpowered
lacks
cunt.
that context.
Okay.
Context?
I guess you can say we lack the humanity when you're not talking to a person face to face, but what
That's
is
just Twitter.
what is the problem here with actually accepting, like, you can't watch a YouTube video that's well thought out and well structured? Like, what's wrong with that?
What does he mean by lacking what context? The context that they're humans, or
Yeah.
like
I don't know. It's very awkward to say that these things don't require human ideas and thoughts. It's like, well, where do you think they came from? All you have to do is address the questions. It's all any fan has to do who's 100% positive. Just say, okay, why are they so slow in space, even though they were escaping just no problem last movie? Now they're all slightly faster than each other, and their weapons suddenly aren't effective anymore at certain ranges, and they have all these ships. They decide not to use them. It's like, what is?
Everything is really contrived.
Like, does that not sort of feel off to you at all? It's like, no, it's perfect. It's great. It's fantastic. It's like, okay, all right, we know where you're coming from there. And then we just keep going on and on with each scene. Like, aren't the bombers a little strange? Aren't they really slow and big and not doing anything and have no shields? And yet all their bombs can annihilate like half a planet if the number of bombs they have. No, it's
This
fine.
guy-
Like,
Do we take this guy seriously when he honestly believes one of the worst feelings you can ever experience is not liking a Star Wars film? To me, that just it throws it off the fucking deep end. I honestly think this guy's probably a virgin who's never had his heart broken by a girl. Who's like never like had any, like he's never had a pet die. He's never lost a friend. He's like never experienced anything bad.
has he ever like gotten a wrong math grade? Like he's gotten wrong on a test or something? Like, oh my God, my fractions are wrong. I'm gonna go cry in a corner or
Probably
something.
never been to writing class or anything like that where his work got personally critiqued
I mean,
or
I
anything.
nearly ruined my entire life after failing my GCSEs and my A levels, and it's like that was a pretty bad fucking feeling. Like the feeling that you thought like the next thing that was going to happen was that nothing. It was just going to be a constant end of wasting your life. That was a much worse feeling than not liking The Last Jedi. Like, come on, they're not even equatable. There's your real life and a fictional film. Like, sure, I love Star Wars, but it's a completely different spectrum.
Your house burned down, you lost your parents. Oh, that's nothing. Someone just like a Star Wars film. That's
Yeah, I
way
actually
worse.
know people who
Get
have
on my
lost
level.
parents. So imagine going up to someone who's like lost. I know someone who's actually lost their mother, and it's like go up to her and say, "Well, you know, not liking a Star Wars film is one of the worst things you could ever experience." I'm pretty sure she would turn around and fucking smack them.
I'm kind of curious what context he's pointing towards that we're missing. That
yeah, that's where I'm curious. I don't know. Humanity, probably.
Can
Maybe
someone just
kind of.
pour the alcohol into their mics? Maybe it'll come at my speaker, and I can just drink it.
you got to be equipped, man. I was way ahead of you today.
Honestly, I can't because I've got college tomorrow again.
All
That's-
right. Okay, we'll keep going because I know you're in a different time zone. Let's keep going then.
Isn't that an excuse to drink?
Well, unfortunately, if you go over to college hangover, you can actually get kicked out.
It's
a thing.
Thursday. It's pub night, isn't it? Thursday's pub
Oh,
night.
right.
Yeah.
No.
You backwards British people will kick people out for being drunk at college. Come on.
Honestly, it is a thing. If you come into college with either possessing alcohol, either being hungover, or being drunk, that is grounds to be kicked out of the college. I'm not kidding you. No, I'm not shitting you.
And it's safe.
If you see a tweet you disagree with pop up on your timeline, you don't see a living, breathing human being. You see a 50 by 50 pixel profile pic, a username, and an opinion that is in total opposition with what you
Answered your own question.
Okay.
Why are these people being mean to each other? Like, it's Twitter. It's a
There's
picture,
no
a name,
value.
and a. Yeah, it's like
There's no
people are
balance
hyperbolic.
between your brain and your thumbs. It just goes straight. Anything that comes out your brain just goes straight to the page and it gets posted. And that's what I think people should just honestly just think before they put anything in Twitter. Just like, give it 30 seconds maybe. Because honestly, some of the shit people say on there, especially celebrities, who don't think before they say shit.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? Because these celebrities nowadays, you go, all the people who have this opinion are evil bigots. Am I not supposed to disagree with that or voice an opinion?
Like, whoa, maybe you should calm down there,
No,
Sir Patrick.
it's always about either Trump did something and therefore it's the end of the world, or
Like, how many times has the world ended? I mean, it's been like what, 10, 20 times?
Well, there's a new virus going around, so maybe the world's
That's-
gonna end again.
yeah.
World War III. Like,
Also,
people complain about that one.
according to the people that I've heard, if you do not let them cough on you, you're a bigot. So that's the new thing going along. And according to this guy, I wouldn't be able to voice my my enthusiastic disagreement to that sentiment. I'd have to disrespect their opinion.
You believe. In your mind, that is the entirety of that person.
No,
other
it's
context.
just a dumb thing he said, and you're like, you said a dumb thing, haha. Here's a GIF. That's what
Yeah.
happens. So it's not a big deal.
Thing is,
That's
if you
Twitter.
say something dumb, then expect some kind of dumb shit.
Exactly.
Also, I
If
think
you ask
I
a
think it'd be
stupid-
okay. I think it'd be okay if Ewoks would vote. Just have to give them a literacy test first.
Yeah, I'm pretty boxed for it.
Okay, we all vote. Who wants to
Ewoks
vote?
lives matter.
Let's do it.
And when you hate everything you know about a person, when the internet boils people down to a name, a face, and an opinion, it makes people very...
No, that's not even what he does.
You don't have to be on Twitter, right? You don't have to be on
No,
Twitter.
but this guy is literally putting everyone down to they like it or they're a fucking bigot. That's what he's boiling it down to.
Because
Like,
everything you know about that person is in like a 140 characters, and you, I want
It's
you
like
to be eliminated from the universe because I hate you. It's like, what?
It's like the people who say, like, oh, if someone doesn't like Rose Tico, that's how you know they're a racist bigot or something like that. It's like, how the fuck can you go from someone's opinion on a character to make a character judgment about that person? It's like, or some people who like, oh, you can judge people by their political standing. It's like, no, because some people have very complex political beliefs.
Yeah,
Does this mean if you have one set of political perspectives, you also like terribly made movies? Like it's a requirement?
there's plenty of relationships people have with people, and they have all sorts of differing opinions on all sorts of things. And it could be romantic, it could be platonic, it could be professional. It's not a big deal. Now, if you want to categorize people, I've made observations of people who are largely left-sided, largely dislike politics or certain types of other politics, and have very strange opinions about art. That you sit there and you go, "How did you come to that conclusion?" And they can't articulate that very well. I've noticed
Feeling.
that everything's an emotion, or it's not art. It's like, what? There's lots of
Themes.
statues I
At
don't
least,
like.
at least in Evan's video, like he actually showed evidence and he qualified a lot of the things he said. That's a great video. Go watch that instead of this.
All right.
It's what I've tried doing at least. It's like this is what's so bizarre to me about the people who argue for subjectivity. It's like they usually don't have like textual arguments. It's just like you should provide some evidence, man, if you want to like bolster an argument like that. So
When it comes to abstract art, there are certain aspects of your brain you're not supposed to, like, you can't logically appreciate abstract art. You can't criticize it very well because it's not supposed to be logical. It's not supposed to have this form and function that you would with practical art, with actual art that has a purpose. It's
Yeah,
like,
what happens with abstract art usually? I mean, you ask someone if you like this abstract art, they will say yes. You ask them why. It's because it means this. They bring it down to a logical conclusion.
which is tough to do with abstract art. And
Yeah, I mean,
Abstract
what's
art
that
comes-
that famous picture, that famous painting of like this huge white canvas with a little black dot in the middle? You would, if you ask someone why they like that, it would say, "Oh, it represents racism." Well, I don't know. You might, however, you might feel about their opinion on that. they bring it down to something logical. Like it's not they don't like it because look at the for abstract reasons. They bring it down. They bring the abstract down to the grounded.
In some
you
cases,
could say
yes.
it represents hope because hope is everywhere, and that little tiny black dot is hopeless.
Yeah, something like that.
My
So
problem
that we can comprehend.
is that it's
Yeah.
it's like so nebulous. You can pull any kind of shit out your ass.
Well, the beautiful thing about
That's what I hate about it.
modern art, even with Cubism, let's say with Picasso's era, is there's elements in art which are mathematical and geometric, and then there's aspects which are very hard to grasp. And your brain does something very unique. It says, well, I can see that he's trying to paint a chair from all different angles all at once. Or he's trying to show a shape as it connects to another shape, which happens to represent an arm or a leg. And you're like, this is, like, your brain just doesn't know how to register that. But there's a certain aesthetic in trying to figure that out, which is the whole joy of going to an art gallery. You're like, wow, look at this thing I've never seen before. So there's a certain realism behind it, but that's still more representational than modern. When we're talking about modern, we're talking like Jackson Pollock and all sorts of other strange, bizarre sculpture that has no real shape or meaning. So it gets pretty weird out there, especially performance art with dance and God knows what else. And I was privy to that in university. So I've experienced these weird things, and my brain goes, ah, what is that? And another part of me goes, oh, it's just, someone performing for the sake of performing, even though there's no discernible value. We can usually use, as we would with representational art, actual ballet, or actual sculpture that we're classically trained in. So
I don't know if any of you know about this. I only know about it because there was a Russell Howard joke about it. So like, it's basically a modern art where this lady is inserting wool up into herself and then knitting with it, and that is the modern. It's honestly that batshit.
I've seen
There's
worse.
another one where they like throw chairs around a room. Art. It's fucking art.
Yeah,
apparently,
performance art is very, very strange. You got to be careful.
I think there was one thing I saw where this guy sat at a piano. He opened up the piano, took off the covering of the piano keys, sat there, and then he waited a few minutes, and then he would close it, and whatever you heard, whatever sounds occurred during that time we had the piano keys open, that was the song.
Oh, that's terrible. There was the only one modern art that I liked was that it was an artist who was really sick the fuck of modern art, so he submitted a toilet. He's like, that's my artwork. It's a toilet.
Didn't it get famous?
Yes,
I
the
think
urinal.
if you wrote art nut on the side or something.
It's crazy stuff.
Let's keep going.
Easy to hate. It makes entire groups of people very easy to hate.
Do you know what makes the things easy to hate? When you say ridiculous, annoying videos like this. This video makes you easy to hate, mate.
But why does
Honestly,
if he hates us?
Bell end.
If he hates us, why is he fighting us? Shouldn't he be not fighting us and just protecting the ones he loves?
Well, no.
No, it's not even about that. It's about saving. It's
his
not about
idea of restoring balance to Star Wars is to disregard everyone else.
It's,
racist, sexist, and also he said it's okay to not like The Last Jedi. So we have those concessions.
It's okay not to like.
it's
something
okay
that's
not to
a
like it.
radical
You're
new
just a
idea.
monster.
Then he talks about all the harassment that's been going on.
He said he was
You can't have
fearful
it.
to make this video. Like, oh yeah, you're fearful of the comments of this video. That's why you delete every single negative, not like remotely negative comment.
They have to do is disagree with you, which is why we need to actively remind ourselves of that context.
What?
Maybe
Context.
What?
maybe this guy should take his own fucking lessons.
I
and
think
maybe
X.
view people
I
who
think
disagree
you're
with him.
wrong. There's the context. What more do you need?
But I think this person's actually projecting. So when he sees someone disagree with him,
But what is he
automatically
projecting?
paints them as the bad. He's projecting the fact that he's saying that when we see someone who disagrees with us, we instantly paint them as, you know, these horrible people, and we go harass them, whatever. But then he's the actual person who's, you know, someone disagrees with him, and he's automatically these people are the worst people in the world, you know, the horrible, absolute terrible people. I've had disagreements with my friends about the new Star Wars movies, and you know, we all come back, and it's like, well, we don't have any hard feelings about it. We had a fun conversation, and it's fine. We go our separate ways after, and we come back next time and we talk about something else. But people like this, honestly, I think he just sees people who disagree with him, and he just delete their comment, like he's somehow happened to do with us.
I want to know what he means by context, because he's trying to make a point, and I think we have to keep listening to get there, because he's not making it now.
There is a human being behind that tweet with their own feelings and passions.
There's a human being behind an account. Who
I
fucking
thought I was
knows?
just I thought I was just replying to robots. I mean, I guess I
thought it was a
They're all
Russian troll.
NPCs.
Russian bot.
Russian bots. Yeah, there are Russian bots. Russia just has infinite bots that just argue on the internet.
They
all
do
day.
everything.
No matter what side. No matter what side,
They
they can.
droids.
They're on both sides of the political spectrum. That's what a Russian bot does.
America is like the Republic, and Russia is the separatist.
They're the
Russia
ultimate
has
straw
all the
bots.
droids.
They're just anything that needs is bad is the Russian bot.
Just about like these straw bots, just held together with nothing but straw and
Straw
just
bots.
literal feasting.
And traumas and history. There's 100 things that human being loves that you love too. So just
Okay.
remember, when you see someone who likes something you don't like, or someone who doesn't like something that you like, that's another human being.
Okay, so he's just saying be nice. That's his whole context.
Just be nice.
Told you,
the
this
flip
is what this
side-
entire video is.
Never
Fucking
thought
be
that
nice.
the person I'm talking to has their own experiences in life.
Ah,
Never occurred to
Saying
me.
this shit,
treating this
and
like
he
this is a
deletes
novel
comments.
concept, like treating people as humans is like something that we're like inexperienced with, and it's just like
Did you know that
I
Nazis
know
are bad? Did you know
He's
Nazis
such
are
a
bad?
fucking hypocrite.
Did you-
He's such a motherfucking
Okay,
hypocrite.
everyone,
Yeah.
everyone in this chat, let's go and message him. And say, hey, let's talk about the Last Jedi. You want to have a chat? I'd love to have a chat. We'll talk in humans. We'll talk on Skype. Any way you like. It doesn't matter. We'll chat. We'll chat.
seriously, you could jump on. It'd be great to talk to him. I'm sure he could get his points across better talking to us just here rather than
Yeah.
anything else. Because this
He
video is
wouldn't
not
wanna be
convincing me of
associated with
anything.
us. Obviously, we're just the worst human beings.
Just be nice. Just be nice.
We're a bunch of bigots. Who knows?
So,
Again,
Probably doesn't wanna talk
this
to us.
guy is such a fucking hypocrite because he's saying, "Oh well, you know, if someone disagrees with you, then there's a human being behind that, and you shouldn't just paint them as this." Next minute, just deletes comment.
So the two things I got from this video.
Dun, dun,
One, be
dun,
nice.
dun, dun, dun,
The second is that you can, in fact, dislike The Last Jedi. You're just a monster if you do so. Thank you. Okay, I got it. I think I grasped the message of this movie or this video. Fantastic.
So maybe treat them like one. Unless they're a
Treat
bot.
people who put
Unless they're a bot. There we go.
I thought they were bots.
God, bot jokes. Oh.
I thought
something
they're all
that you
Russian
don't
bots or
like,
whatever.
or someone who doesn't like something that you like, that's another human being. So maybe treat them like one,
and don't
How
leave
do you know?
comments.
How do you know it's not a bot?
unless they're a bot.
Unless
Push
they're
their
a bot.
agenda with Star Wars critiques. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Well,
am I,
Russian bots
did I get a free
are
pass?
critiquing Star Wars.
Russian trolls are not bots. Russian trolls are Russians.
Do I get a free pass if I just treat everyone as if they're a bot? Like, I just assume he's a bot. I don't.
All this
care. I don't know.
implies is that a lot of IP addresses were writing profile or writing reviews on, I guess, Rotten Tomatoes, whatever the study recommends.
How would you know they're Russian? Like, I'd assume some kind of all trolls would use some kind of VPN, even if it was like a through and like hole.
They could, but it's when you go from that area of the world, it's either China, Russia, Singapore, Japan, etc., India. So it's really easy to figure that out. But yeah, you could use a VPN service. That's true, but it would still point to Russia. Like unless you have a really expensive VPN where you could bounce your freaking signal to I don't know, around the world, but they'd be really slow. But I mean, to write a freaking review for a movie, like what the hell do you need to block yourself from the internet to do that? Who cares? The FBI is going to be, oh my God, he's connecting to Singapore when he's in Canada. Like,
People
why?
have heated discourse. People have heated discourse. This is what destroyed the fandom.
Like, if you get an average VPN,
I just imagine it's going to be
what?
like you critique the film, and then all of a sudden you have the FBI like knocking on your door. FBI, you critiqued the film. You did a bad.
You're Russian. You're a Russian spy.
Communist detected. Embrace democracy.
A new McCarthy area, but this time they're hunting down people who hate The Last Jedi.
Oh dear. Wow, that was part 4? That was it?
So this is a part 5?
Oh my God.
Painful.
No, don't put her
Obi-Wan
name.
Kenobi.
Painful.
I thought this was a joke.
Oh.
Oh, this is gonna be hard. This is gonna be hard. This is gonna be tough. It's gonna be painful.
Oh, the piano
We
music.
have infinitely more in common with each other as Star Wars fans
No, we don't.
than we don't.
It's just such a fun.
No. You like Star
Sections with
Wars?
his YouTuber friends that he's just slapping.
Star,
in the-
Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars fan, Star Wars isn't necessarily your entire life. I'm pretty sure that's true for most Star Wars fans.
Yeah, like I have a lot more things in my life than Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
It can be like a plumber, and there could be like a lawyer or whatever who have completely different lives, completely different backgrounds. They both might like Star Wars. But just because both of them like Star Wars doesn't mean that means that they both have so many more things in common than they don't have things in common. They have one thing in common at that juncture, and that's Star Wars. It's not that big of a deal.
And someone knows the lore and someone doesn't know the lore. That's really all we're trying to say is like, listen, this breaks the lore in these places in this way. Can you see that? Yes or no? If you can't, fine, we won't have that discussion. But if
Turn
you
your fucking brain off.
Yeah, it's like that person has resigned. Like you can't argue with them. They're not going to care or address that point. They don't see it as a problem. You're like, okay, fine. But when you ask them and they respond, we need to have that discussion here. And if they don't want to, that's fine. But if they're arguing, we need to change to bend over to join their club so they can, I don't know, praise it, like worship it because it's so great. Like, no. That's what a fan does. I have fans who love Mass Effect who nag me every damn day talking about what Shepard should have done or what this character should have done or where the story should have gone because what they got in the last 2 games were so bad. That's a fan. They love it. They keep talking about it. There's other people on Twitter. I was always following like Elias Defexis. He's the voice actor for Adam Jensen in the Deus Ex games, the latest ones. And he was talking about Star Wars. He's like, it's just a movie. And I'm like, Elias, it's more than just a movie. And he says, no. When I was a kid, I loved Star Wars. That was my favorite thing. It still is. But it's just a movie. And I'm like, dude, you're a voice actor. You are in these productions. You must have met people who live and breathe the stuff. And his response was, nope, it's just a movie. Like, that's his mentality. So there's really no discussion you could have with these people, or those kinds of people. And that's fine. It's like, okay, to you, that's all it is. To other people, it's a really big part of their life, and they're very critical, and they love it.
Fun series to watch. It takes you across to all new worlds, and you see these fantastic
Surface
set
level.
pieces, and
Civilization,
it's just
exploring
it's
when
just
no
quick, it's
one has
witty.
gone before.
It's got a really fleshed out universe with a diverse cast that anybody, like, there's people that you can gravitate to
Okay.
regardless of what
Fine.
kind of content you like, and then you can talk to other people about that.
There are these intense, epic, fun, imaginative
Genre?
stories.
Okay.
There's something in there for
These
everyone.
epic,
no matter
fun,
what you're into.
imaginative
I think this really
stories.
summed up
These are so
an
nebulous.
experience that I had on
these-
opening night of watching The Force Awakens in theaters, and there was a little kid wearing
Until we got to his actual comment, all of these were so generic they could be about anything.
Yeah.
They didn't put out any
Prequels
specifics
are
about why they're good.
fun,
Yeah.
imaginative.
Like-
They've got great set pieces. They've got good action.
Yeah, it could be any space opera.
In any of these Star Wars movies, it could be episodes 1 through 9. We have no idea because it's so generic.
You want to hear I really like the philosophy of the Jedi and the battle, the metaphysical battle between them and the Sith. Like that'd be okay, cool. From who? Obi-Wan character versus Darth Vader. Fine, done. Thank you. Nope, all surface level.
Going.
And you always get generalities when it comes to defending these movies. You never get specifics.
Like when you
And
say
if
I
do-
like Star Trek, it's like you have this futuristic world where peace has reigned, and we have complexities on a political level where we have to find out how not to kill each other.
Yeah, I like the culture aspects. I like the idea of finding new life, meeting new people, meeting new cultures, and learning what they do, and then the complications that come with those new introductions to new species, and then the wars, the conflicts, the internal conflict in Star Trek of trying to defend yourself, trying to find new species and find new frontiers,
Or
or
even in
new
Deep Space
civilizations.
Nine.
Yeah. And now
And
I want to see a
they've got
geriatric fight
wars.
with a space ninja. I mean, that's part of Star Trek's.
Well, and do all that and stay true to your principles, because one of the some of the heart and soul of Star Trek, I think, would be the heart and soul of Star Trek is the principles of the Federation.
I would disagree, because one of my strongest criticisms of Janeway in Voyager is how she like almost religiously holds on to her principles. Like, you can point to the Equinox episode where the Equinox has been really fucking like banged up. They've had an absolutely horrible time compared to Voyager, and Voyager's never gone starving. Like a lot of the crew intact, the bulkheads are fine.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
that's
Janeway's,
Voyager.
like berating this guy. It's like he did what he had to do to save his crew. It even goes like, well, what would you do if you had an empty belly, and your crew was starving, half your crew were dead. It's like,
Yeah,
what the fuck
where's
would
his
you do,
empathy?
Janeway?
Where's his
And then-
empathy?
Yeah, and then Janeway just starts going, well, if you let go of these things, then you stop being human. And Captain Braxton even comes up with a line saying, well, Federation Article, paragraph 12, if an event of something absolutely terrible, a captain must do anything to protect his crew. And then Janeway says, oh, I doubt that covered mass murder. It's like,
Oh, yeah, Janeway says
he's trying
that.
to save his fucking crew.
Janeway, who gives the go-ahead for the genocide of an entire species.
Blows away an entire planet with the cobalt weapons, whatever that was. Like, are you like really? You're gonna blow away a planet? Like what?
Yeah, but usually that's the complexity of love about Star Trek, is because it is the principles. It's having these captains who are so ardent of these Federation principles that when they come across these species that puts those principles, adherence to those principles to the test, it becomes interesting, because that's where the tension arises.
I would say that it's definitely absolutely brilliant in Deep Space Nine.
Oh yeah,
and
that's the best
aspects
one.
of Voyager, like Year of Hell. I think Year of Hell is one of the best Voyager.
Well, yeah,
like,
because there were consequences in Year of Hell.
Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant, and some of the I think it's the idea of like the brighter future, but then you have these like really darker parts of it that are absolutely brilliant. Again, one thing I'll always point to in Deep Space Nine is what was the episode where like you'd have to bring the Robins into the water in the pale moonlight, and like trying to remember the Cisco is like trying to rationalize the deaths of these people that is on his hands, because this entire plan was his. Like the holo programmer and the senator and his guards are all dead because he trusted Garak, and Garak kind of went behind his back and killed these people, and he ended up getting what he wanted.
Yeah,
but, like, he now has to live with the fact that these his morals are no longer squeaky clean.
And he says, "I can live with it.
I can.
Well,
I can.
Can't I?"
He's Cisco. I mean, he's Cisco. I mean, that's all the explanation you need. He's the Cisco.
Yeah, that was a beautiful episode where he's sharing this information to his log, and he just deletes it at the end.
Delete log. I mean, that'd be pretty bad if someone found
I met
it.
someone
So.
who shot on that episode, and honestly, I was really pissed off that he shot on it. It's like, what the fuck you on about? It's an absolutely brilliant episode. Like, I point to these things, and then they didn't even reference why it was bad. It's like, oh well, he's talking to the camera. It's like, yeah, he's supposed to be talking to the camera. It's a fucking captain's log.
Yeah, it's a captain's log. You're supposed to have you don't need to have an audience in your room for a captain's log.
Captain's log, star date. I shoved something up my ass.
In shirts, and about a 30-year-old guy wearing like a worn-out Star Wars shirt,
Okay.
something like that. And I remember he knelt down and looked at his son and said, "What do you think about the movie?" And the kid was like, "I loved it." And the dad went, "I loved it too." And they just hugged each other.
It sounds like they can't really articulate exactly what they think. That's fine. You get this general feeling from like an attraction or a book. You're like, oh, this is a good experience. Like, all right, fine. I accept that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's manipulative. That's really manipulative. This
Like,
movie's
he's
good. This movie's good. You shouldn't critique it because two people liked it. A son and a father liked it.
Honestly, it is absolutely beautiful that a father and his son love this film. We're not
me a
trying to take
break.
that away, but you're trying to say that because they loved it, we can't make a qualitative statement about it.
Give me a break.
All of a sudden, like, oh my god, this guy's a fuck. Like, I keep calling him words, but he's a fucking bellend with this shit.
I enthusiastically
No.
reject your attempts at emotional manipulation. Okay, peddle your
It
wares
wasn't
somewhere else.
It wasn't very
It
effective.
is very much emotionally manipulative.
They're right there in the
People
lobby of the
fucking
theater,
cried at this.
and that really meant something to me.
At the end of the day, we're all Star Wars fans.
Why did it mean something to you? It wasn't your dad. It wasn't your son. It's a moment between them. It's not you and If he actually brought up like a moment where it was him and his son or him and his dad, then I probably understand why that meant something to him. But why did two random people he doesn't fucking know? Why did that mean so much to him?
Yeah, when I
Maybe
stood
he was
up,
the one. He's the one in the Kylo Ren costume. He was just embarrassed.
Yeah.
To say so.
You stand up in the theater from the Blair Witch, you turn around, everyone's terrified, and you're like,
it's just like staring over at you. It's like, oh, what a beautiful moment. It's like, Dad, that person's staring at us.
Let's go, son. Call the cops.
And whether we like the prequels or we don't like the prequels or we like the sequels or we don't like the sequels or whatever, we're all fans
you're trying to
of
say we
Star
can't like
Wars,
something?
and we should all be able to discuss the things that we both like and
we are.
we share common interest in, and the things we don't like.
We are.
be
You're
able
telling
to
us
talk
that we
about
can't
them
discuss
in a
it.
civilized
You're
manner as
literally
part
telling
of
us we
one
can't
fandom.
we can't
Whether
discuss
your first
it.
experience was the original trilogy or the prequels or the new films, we've all experienced something no
Well,
one
none of
else
them.
can.
But what if I found like
was
a
introduced
father
through
and
Clone
son who
Wars in the
bonded?
game.
Well, like, what if I found a father and son who bonded over the hatred of the movie? Like, what if father and son came out of the movie theater?
Honestly,
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
could
Yeah, you could just
actually-
tell a story. You're like, they both came out. They're like, I didn't like the movie. It's like, you know what? I didn't like it either. And then they hugged. It's like, oh, they're embracing because they criticized this.
Like, can I show you that one?
I can reference this. I can actually fucking reference this because I was after I was talking to my dad, and we were both like basically shitting on these films and having a laugh, and we just sat down for like 3 hours to like must have been 3 o'clock in the morning. We were just talking about possibilities for Star Wars stories, and we ended up coming up with this idea of this really powerful force being that could basically use the force to create these like zombie ships. He would all these old destroyed and crippled ships that would be useless to anything else. He would use the force to fucking smash them together and make them work and fly. So, like, we bonded over that. Like, good idea or not, we still bonded over our hatred of the sequels. That means you can't like them. That
There
means
you
you
go.
can't like them, people.
It means
Yeah,
that
that's
destruction is actually very good for creation or creativity.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, by fighting what we hate, we've come up with something nice.
No,
we
don't
didn't
bring
even
up
say
that
what we
quote.
love.
No.
That's how we're going to win, by fighting what we hate and not defending the ones we love.
Exactly. We have the counter example. Oh.
Even begin to imagine the experience of being in that galaxy far, far away.
Whoa.
We know the
What are you on about, Alex?
Whoa.
Actually,
This
can
guy
experience
is
being like that,
stretching
dude.
this so
In Star
thin,
Wars
man.
Galaxy.
He's
Escapism is a thing. Yes, thank you. We get it.
the exhilaration of flying a starfighter, the sound.
No, there's games where you can
Yeah.
experience this. There's games.
In the 90s. X-Wing
Literally
versus
a
TIE
game
Fighter.
called X-Wing. There's games like Battlefront, and there's games like Jedi Fallen Order. There's games like Star Wars Galaxies, where you're just a random person in the galaxy itself. You could be a fucking dancer. You could be a chef. You could be an engineer building ships or droids. So games explored this.
Cantina in Mos Eisley, the terror of being in a room with Darth Vader, the power of the Force. We've lived this.
Okay.
And like the Force, it binds us together.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
The fact that our hatred and anger...
Again, can you just feel the emotional manipulation just dripping off of these statements and these like flowery language and these words on the screen? It's just like, can you imagine the fear of being inside of a room with Darth Vader? Please,
relying on this emotion rather than having any sort of objective critique.
Here we are,
or argumentation.
Us fans of Star Wars, we're all together, all friends, all nice, and we're talking about how much we dislike something. Wow.
We're bonding over it,
It's amazing. I've never heard of this before. We can only do it when we think positively, guys.
No, but I'm just getting flashbacks like A Million Ways to Die in the West, where it's like they're joking around like with some like potweed or something like that, and like they say hatred can move mountains. Hatred is stronger than love. It can move mountains.
Just got a super chat from Mr. Tyler Preston. What do TLJ defenders say in response when asked if Luke really didn't want to be found by anyone? Then why did he make the map in the last film?
I can answer this. They reference the expanded material saying that this isn't... I think it's something along the lines of, he didn't leave this map. This was the map that he followed to get to the place. And that's the explanation they went with. And though I think originally it was supposed to be a map that he left behind.
I think that was supposed to be the intention. I don't think there's like direct dialogue in TFA that he made.
So. There's just a map.
Yeah.
Are there, remember?
Exactly. So, yeah.
Well, it was commonly understood that this was a map that he left, but it was a map that, or at least from what I've been told from people who defend the movie, it's a map that he followed, which is why R2 has it. Don't know why it perfectly fits into the little piece that BB-8 has, or how Luke got to that island without a fucking, a navigation.
That's fine. I can give the concession. It was just up to the next story to explain why, and it doesn't make sense. But hey, Ryan Johnson again. Another super chat from Onisha Jones. Feelings, but logic. Feelings.
Yeah. Feelings.
Feelings don't care about your logic.
And it's not just feelings, it's good feelings. It's good, positive feelings. Feelings, good, positive feelings. Can't have negative ones, guys. No, nothing ever came out of feeling negative.
Yeah, you have to just cancel out half of your feelings.
Yep.
Just leave the positive ones.
So much harder for new generations to live these experiences and feel that same life-changing inspiration is absolutely heartbreaking.
Oh,
it's hard.
Wow! Crank up the piano a little bit more, would you? I can't hear it.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
You just have one piano going. You need like 10 pianos. Like just add 10 more pianos, and maybe a harp. Add in a few violins.
Exactly. So,
why don't you put in a person on screen crying? Okay, let's do all this. Why not?
Like fade, like change the opacity, like have the person crying in the background.
But you're just like a little kid crying in the background or something.
I think we should make legislation to protect the children from people who don't like film.
It's like a war on these children, these like innocent children who are like who are not being allowed to enjoy the films.
Daddy, why is that person being decapitated? Oh, that's a good thing, son.
They didn't like The Last Jedi.
I could just imagine like some kid watching Clone Wars where like the antagonist gets his head fucking chopped off by Darth Maul.
It's bizarre. It's strange. I mean, it's another angle to we got to protect our kids, but it's from a critical perspective, not from a content perspective. usually they argue that this is too violent or too sexual or whatever. Now it's like, oh, you're being too negative about the movie, which I love. It's like, what?
So I'm done with the hatred.
Okay, you are. Good for you, sir. Jesus,
I'm done with the.
You're done with the hatred. Okay.
I don't know if me press my push to talk button sometimes presses things, so I don't know if I just press something there by accident.
Ah, you're fine.
I think I saw a skip thing, so I don't know if I accidentally pressed something during my push to talk.
I wasn't following.
A second ago, it was saying something, and I didn't see the last.
Oh, we can go back a little bit. Again, I don't know.
With the hatred, I'm done with the arguing. I'm taking the high ground. I'm
taking the high ground.
Wow, thank you.
The high ground,
like La La Land high ground. Like it's so good. La la la! I love it. It's like you just disengage the comment.
Closing your eyes, muffling your ears. That's taking the high ground.
My name is Mr. Moral Superiority. I'll see you at 4 o'clock. Jesus, spell it out a little harder there, buddy.
I had like 5 people in the background. I had 5 little kids in the background crying as you do this too. And I had some violins. Needs more violins. It's not sad enough. Okay, we need more. We need up your sadness, up your emotional manipulation, please.
When you like The Last Jedi, you're taking the high ground. You're better than they are.
You're more intelligent. You're more mature than people who find critique with it.
I mean, it's one thing to say, it's good to be constructive with your criticism and being positive and being, helpful. It's another thing to say, you know what, you're scum and I'm not. So I'm gonna stand over here above you, and that's that. I'm done. I'm done talking to you.
Hey man, whether it was by design or not, that is what this video is.
Yeah.
That's exactly off of it. And it's like, dude, you needed to give people more benefit of the doubt or try to play the devil's advocate just a little bit, man. You were coming off as insanely dismissive in this video.
It would have been great if he actually addressed a question that critics have, like any question. Pick like the hundreds of questions from this movie.
You wouldn't be able to use a straw man. If he was actually pulling something that someone had actually said.
That's what we've covered critics before that did that, and we laughed at them because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. This guy didn't even touch that. He's addressing the critics as an idea that they're somehow bad, and now he's saying, I am now above them because I think they're bad, and because we're taking away the joy of children or something. I don't know exactly what we're doing to kids, but what a thing to say.
This whole video, then, because he said this, boils down to, I like The Last Jedi, and that makes me morally superior to you and more mature than you are to those people who dislike The Last Jedi. So you can dislike The Last Jedi, just making a point, just point that out, but that means you're a monster. He's just bolstering that previous statement even more by saying, I love the Last Jedi, therefore I am morally superior. You hate The Last Jedi, which is fine, but that means you're a monster.
Those 2 points you observed are pretty much the whole thing, and he's just saying it in different ways. And now he's saying, well, now I'm actually better than everyone.
With emotional music in the background. just manipulate you even harder. Okay.
I'm going to be proud of my love of Star Wars again. I'm going to celebrate it, and I'm going to accept that I don't own.
Yes, you do. Anyone who buys it owns it. That's not.
You're going to celebrate it. So you can't just like something. You must celebrate it in order to claim your moral superiority.
When I have a birthday, I demand champagne. That's how it goes.
Can we watch a Wit and Folly video or something? She's way better than this.
Oh my goodness! I was hoping
really. Painting, man, that's my trouble with it too, is there's not much to address or anything like that, and there's nothing crazy. It's just non-arguments. I keep saying that.
I'd much rather have a person who's outright hostile than this guy.
I gotta slow down. Okay, we got a super chat from Zofrutz. LiteratureDevil should make a parody of this video with violins.
I'm tempted to. I'm tempted to.
Just add as much music as you can, as like much sad music.
They can't
like,
even hear me. It's just all violent.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in a study and you're smoking. You have a smoking jacket, you got your pipe on, and you're just sitting there like, oh, I am the smuggest son of a bitch on the planet, and I'm just gonna sit there and read a video a audio adaptation of The Last Jedi like it's gold.
You know that that clip of SpongeBob where SpongeBob's like peeling onions or something, and it's like violins are playing, just like that. That's it. That's this entire video.
Just so you know, if it's in the public sphere, the fans own the product and they can make whatever opinion they want. That's how media works. Okay, if you see a guy in the street, you don't like him, you go, "Oh, this guy sucks." Keep walking. You might tell him to your face he sucks. It's not very nice, but it's public. You have the right to say whatever you like about it. So whether you physically own it, whether you actually spent money, makes little difference. And in this case, obviously he bought The Last Jedi.
Star Wars, and if Star Wars stops being for me someday, then I'll accept that and appreciate the immense amount of Star Wars.
Okay, wait a second. So if it stops being for him, that means he's going to have criticisms about it, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what that means.
What is he talking? Suddenly, if it stops being for me, no. He's not. He's going to have them, but he's not going to express them because that's what he did with the other channel, where he just deleted his comment and clicked the unlike button actually after he already clicked it. So it's
Plug your ears and close your eyes.
He seems as if he doesn't want to express his feelings because he
just find something else you like.
I guess.
Honestly,
as soon as a friend of mine disappoints me, I just stop addressing him entirely. Like that's a very cold way to go through life. It's like, this car is perfect except this flat tire. Oh, gotta throw it out.
He goes on like saying, "Oh well, Star Wars is no longer for me, and I'll just move on." It's like, well, what do you think a lot of fans are doing these days?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they're moving on to other things that are better because Star Wars has just treated them like shit. It's like, they're just being abused. They go like Star Trek fans. Star Trek fans are no longer happy with, the current shit we're getting. So everyone's going to the Orville. Even Jonathan Thrake's chat on Discovery is like, why don't people just go to the Orville instead?
Wasn't he a executive producer for the Orville?
He worked on some episodes. He wrote and directed a couple episodes.
He also worked on Discovery as well. I know that.
But I just know that he shat on Discovery a little bit.
Yeah, no. I know the production company's in Toronto, so it's like, all right. I know a few of the people working there, so it's like, oh yeah, we see producers here and there. It's like, okay, cool.
Films and books and stupidly expensive Lego sets that I still have and will always have.
It's like he,
whether or not you
it's like he struggled over those words.
I'm
Stupidly expensive
do
Lego sets.
I hope I never lose love with my Star Wars fandom. Oh no.
Lego sets are stupidly priced. They are insane. Way too expensive.
Today.
Yeah.
They used to be really accessible.
Same, because that fandom that was a force for good is dying.
No, it's not. What are you talking?
Dying.
The fandom itself is dying because it's no longer as popular as it used to be. And you keep making bad
they made
movies.
horrible stuff. They made terrible movies. That's why the fandom is dying.
I want to see
Not
this
the
guy's,
hatred.
Yeah. I want to hear this guy's opinion on episode 9. Because if he liked episode 8, what the hell did he think of episode 9?
Well, he obviously, according to this video, he loved it. That's the only way he can. That's the only feeling he's allowed to have. Is
That's right. He'll never express a negative feeling.
He can't have any negative feelings. That makes you a monster.
Have you covered Cosmo Variety Hour's defense of The Force Awakens? Someone just brought it up, and I just remembered how bad. I think the video in question, it's first when people started turning around and saying, "Well, maybe this movie's not quite as good as I thought it was," and it's like people are starting to say that. And he basically just starts attacking people, saying, "Oh, well, these people are just doing it because it's cool to not like something that is popular right now." And that's what I think, if I remember correctly, a lot of his arguments dumb down to. Honestly, I respected the guy so much for his breakdown of Star Wars: The Clone Wars because he did an absolutely fantastic job. But then he ends up coming up with all these other shit videos. Like, no, dude, I just can't watch your videos anymore.
And
It
the
calls me
only way
nuts
to
on and off
save it
sometimes.
is to stop fighting what we hate and start saving what
Oh
we love.
no,
our only
don't
hope.
do that.
And yes, I know a lot of you think that Rose line is the worst line in the
Is.
entire
It is.
series.
It is.
How does this
It's pretty
translate?
bad.
What is he pulling
pretty
from that?
bad.
What do we want to? What?
We already went over it.
What?
That line should have been struck from the script and then burned, and then its destruction made a national holiday.
Favorite scene. I've always said this, but I don't know how that scene like came about. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Like, Rose like knocks Finn out of the way, and then he's like, "Why'd you stop me?" It's like, I saved you, and then he's like, "We're gonna fight.
Everyone's gonna die.
Defend the ones we love. Well, meanwhile, the First Order just fires their guns.
It is so bad.
Like,
everything about that scene is stupid and bad.
Defending the ones we love while the nuke goes off in the background. Like, thanks, Rose.
And then she kisses him. You're like, what the hell?
What's going on?
It's no wonder. It's no wonder in episode 9 that they didn't get together. Finn was probably like, oh, man, I'm not going anywhere near crazy. This is ridiculous.
He looks confused after that kiss. He's like, "What just happened?"
That's probably why they Jar Jar Binkster. They Jar Jar Binkster really hard in the last movie.
You just see on his face, like, what the fuck is going on?
How are we still alive? Why did you just kill all your friends? Why are you kissing me? How are we still alive after dragging you back 3 kilometers? Like, all these questions are
Finn
popping
looked
up.
astonished. Finn looked astonished and surprised, even for Finn. His whole character is looking astonished and surprised at whatever Rey does. That's saying something.
It is one of the worst scenes. Well, arguably one of the worst set pieces of the story. And that was like this. Was that the second or third climax? I can't remember. I think it was the second
Who
climax.
fucking knows?
A lot of climaxes in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't think Ryan Johnson even knows.
Even more than we saw, according to Witten Foley.
Well, her climaxes are of a rather specific nature, which are you have to be a certain person to think that like Witten Foley does. So,
but I actually came across a very interesting quote from that $100 out-of-print paperback book about the making of Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
The interviewer asks, and what about the conflict between good and evil in the film? And Empire's director, Irvin Kershner, actual god amongst humans, says, well, for example, Princess Leia's rebel forces will not do anything in order to win. They will not sacrifice lives. They do not descend to the level of the enemy.
Okay.
That's where you lie.
This ain't got dick to do with squat.
That's already they sacrificed lives in the previous movie before The Empire Strikes Back. Those were sacrificed lives.
Bothans died to get us this information.
Yeah, many Bothans died to get us this information. All the people who died in The Empire Strikes Back, they were sacrificed. They fought. Those guys fought specifically to buy time for the transports to make their way off the planet. They were sacrificed.
Does that mean that Leia, if she ordered them to do something, they wouldn't do it if they were going to sacrifice themselves?
I guess not. Maybe they thought they were going to live throughout that.
That's not how soldiers operate. Soldiers do what they're told.
Yeah, they sacrifice themselves to protect the ones that.
That's what a soldier
that
is. Yeah.
And to protect the ones that are more important. The brains of the operation. That's soldier's duty.
There's a hierarchy. You follow. You do your duty, or you're kicked out. It's very, very simple. It's
brain melting.
You are happy to serve. You respect your line of command.
They were sacrificed, and it wasn't because they were holding it off.
They were in the
They
resistance.
were specifically sacrificed.
Even the Empire
Strikes Back. They were even the Empire Strikes Back. They were specifically sacrificed to buy time for the transports. So he might have said that in an interview, but it's a lie.
These are people who sign up on their own volition because whatever reasons back home are no longer good.
They're willing to die. They are volunteering to die.
It's pretty obvious. That's what a resistance cell is. They live to fight, to bring back liberty and freedom to their homeland or whatever. They're ready to die. That's any war. That's any conflict. Like what?
The difference between the rebels and the Empire.
Well, how do you know this? They're all soldiers.
Again, this has nothing to do with the fucking fandom.
I know this is like the intentions or the opinion of the screenwriter or the editor after the fact.
This is in defense of the Rosiku's line, where we win by not fighting what we hate, but protecting the ones we love. This is him defending that.
Not even.
And already he's defending it with a lie.
I wouldn't even go that far. This is sort of behind the scenes crap, which is like, oh well, we wanted to do this, but we couldn't. But if we could do this, then this is what would happen. It's like, well, it didn't happen, and you're wrong.
It's not how it played out at all. I mean, even if he said those direct words, even if the interviewee said, "Oh, Leia's rebellion will win not by fighting the ones they hate, but by respecting the ones they love," if that line was not in the movie, someone smart enough was smart enough to not put that line in the movie, because that would have been dumb.
I find the argument from God, meaning the writer, is irrelevant. Like, I don't care what acid trip Rian Johnson was on. I don't care what inspired him, what his political beliefs are. I really like none of that is relevant. It's what's in the text, what's on the screen, what is rendered on the stage. That's all that matters.
It's possible to fight because you love, not just because you hate.
What? You could do both. What's stopping you? I really hate the guys who killed my family. I want revenge. I'll sign up for the resistance now. Okay. I really love my family. They're gone now, but I can't love them anymore.
The Empire. The rebels didn't hate the Empire at all.
Like, what is Leia's motivation after her homeworld gets destroyed?
I don't know.
She can't love it anymore. It's gone.
Here's the thing about that scene, though. So the Rose Tico line, don't fight what you hate, defend what you love. She saved Finn. Now, what does Finn do? Like, how does Finn is he like the pinnacle turning point? Is the whole resistance a pivoting around Finn for the next few movies? No,
that would be interesting.
That doesn't happen at all. As far as I remember, Finn is just Finn in the last movie. He's just the tag-along guy whose job is to look surprised and astonished at everything.
I'll point to like two places where this kind of thing was kind of done better. So first one I'll point to is Deep Space Nine, and Deep Space Nine handled the sacrifice ideas. The idea I think they were trying to go for with the whole Finn saving himself was the idea of it's to live for your people is a greater sacrifice than dying for your people, and it's like, well, that can be done well, and it's been done well in Deep Space Nine, and it's also been done well in other Star Wars material. Okay, I keep bringing it up, but Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Like, there's an arc about this guy constantly goes on about would you die for your people? Would you die for your people? And the guy ends up dying, and then the senator ends up going to the Tolls like, this. None of us want to go for this conflict. We don't want to die. And the whole idea is that you in both of these is that you need to live for your people. You don't want to sacrifice yourself, because there's more you can do a lot living than you can dead. So they could have gone for that route, and they could have made it work, because other people have made it work, but they don't make it work.
If The Last Jedi was one of those gritty war stories, like I assume that the other gritty war story in Star Wars, Rogue One, was about, and people are like sacrificing themselves as they dwindle in numbers as they keep going. That was never really brought up. I mean, that's what happens, because we see the ships get destroyed, the Raddus gets destroyed, the other ships, the transport ships, like they keep getting smaller and smaller, but it's never really addressed as a thing to do, or a dramatic element, or a runaway scene. It's just all of a sudden Rey's back, and she wipes out all the TIE fighters, And then she lifts a mountain and everyone's saved. And you're like, what happened to all those people that just died? Does anyone care? Nope, it's happy. Everyone's great. We're good. We got the books.
There's a tiny amount of people. You had an entire cruiser, I don't know, like a small fleet full of people, and by the end of the movie, you can all fit inside a small YT freighter. Literally, the entire
not very good spot the Resistance goes
the
in.
Millennium Falcon.
The thing is, she defended Finn, and he does really nothing important for the rest of the movie and the next movie. Nothing really substantial. Like, there's nothing that rides on Finn's back that really changes the course of things significantly. However, she stopped him from what could have been the destruction of a major First Order super weapon, that little drill thing, the battering ram thing, which could have really put a damper on them getting into the base. So he could have by himself possibly saved the Resistance, or at least bought enough time to escape with his sacrifice. But Rose stopped him, and they just went right on through, killing everybody. If Luke Skywalker had not arrived, they probably would have all died. Thanks, Rose.
I honestly don't believe that the only way they could get into that base was through a freaking laser.
I do. Ryan Johnson wrote this thing. I do.
Why is this technology? Why is this thing never been used before? Why has no one ever just put this giant block of metal in front of their base? Like, well, you can't get us now unless you have a freaking miniature Death Star laser. Also, for a miniature Death Star laser, it does a surprisingly minimal amount of damage. It just cuts it perfectly. It doesn't like shoot straight through the rock behind it, leaving a massive hole. It perfectly fits through that tiny door,
which allows a Finn to walk through. I don't know how. He's faster than all these other machines. They're surrounding him,
dragging someone.
They were over by the walkers as well. Like when they crashed, they were far, far away from the base.
They should have been captured like Han Solo was captured in Empire Strikes Back.
They should have just been blown up.
I thought Finn would have taken one of those secret passages that Poe took to get back to the base, but there's a big hole in the door. I guess I'll just drag Rose all the way there.
I guess you can just take that.
Well, trenches themselves don't reach out that far. Like you can see in the film, like where the trenches are, and that they're like they don't go out as far as.
They had to have gone far because Poe breaks off, and he doesn't retreat all the way back to the base. He retreats about more than halfway, and he just ditches his ride, and he slides into this other trench. And you see the background. You're like, he's at least halfway back. So there's underground trenches that go into the base. It's like, why not isn't anyone aware of this? They can't see these holes. They have to keep. We must use the big gun against the big shield.
They didn't do a decloaking scan.
Oh yeah, they couldn't use radar or LADAR to just look at the ground and say, "Hey, there's a big trench there, and there's another big trench over there. Hey, they're connected. Wow, we could actually go under the base that way." It's like, no, can't do that. Can't use grenades. Can't use rifles. Can't use any other traditional warfare. We got to use big laser gun door thing.
No, I would have bought, like, instead of having this big door, they could have had like shield generator like they had in Empire Strikes Back. And honestly, I would have forgiven them a lot more just to have that shield generator.
Well, the idea of a laser has to be in position is asinine to begin with. It's a laser. It travels at the speed of light. You just aim and fire. It's a big freaking target. You're not going to miss the door.
It's a big freaking laser beam. Also, it doesn't split out in any direction as well. It just keeps going.
Yeah, it should have eradicated everything in its path. It should have been like a big fiery ball at the end of that, like a big molten mass of metal or
I just
rock.
like to imagine like Ryan Johnson thinks that when you get a laser pen and you just shine it at like a far enough distance, it just kind of stops being a laser.
It's the energy just disappears. It has a certain, like 50 meters is about as good as it gets. It's like, well, yeah. Thermal energy, traveling at the speed of light. What's that? I don't know. Huh. That's it? How are you restoring balance to the fandom, sir?
I don't even know. I look at the title.
I mean, it's a neat graphic. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's very good. He's a very good editor. I'll give him that.
Yes.
I would
it's
say
a nice
almost as good as
title.
Lava Chan, but I don't know. That's a high bar.
Oh, you know, I
Lava
can actually
Chan.
see like with the text and everything and how he's laid out the title. You could see that being an actual Star Wars film. But then it's just this entire video just has nothing to do with restoring balance to the fandom. It's part bitching about people who like don't like the film, part bitching about people who like a tiny minority of the fandom who happen to say nasty things, and then about another part where he basically just says, "Oh, how terrible it is that people don't like a Star Wars film." Shut the fuck up, you punker.
We have about 3 minutes left. I don't know what you could possibly fill it in with.
Just
Squarespace
throws
has.
this lozenges. I don't know.
Oh, I was gonna say Squarespace.
Hey, guys, and otherwise, thank you for waiting. Do a little about the
Buy my crap.
relevant.
Here are my.
Thank you for. Thanks, Patreon, supporting me.
We now know that these people are responsible for what we had to sit through. They're
They
responsible for
supported this.
you people. You know who you are. We will find you, and when we'll do, we'll give you a piece of.
Okay, that was.
We will find you and we will critique you.
I can't believe you got these random guys.
I think I know that
people.
The guy with the Lamborghini. I think I've seen one of his videos before, but I don't follow him very closely. Someone probably knows who he is.
I was about to say, I think he's the guy who criticized Canobite, who we just used as like an example, like, and then he whataboutismed him with the other thing for the Millennium Falcon being in the asteroid field. So I haven't seen his channel. I don't know who he is.
It's just this has been just like what a way. Like, what was your points? Just get your points. Try to make it relevant, and actually, make your points have value. Give them arguments. Give them other references to support your claims. Very simple stuff. All he did was appeal.
Give us a big pilot.
He appealed to pathos, and then he proved how big a nerd he was.
How big his fucking bias was.
There was almost no logic to his, like, again, we're talking about modes of persuasion by Aristotle. Ethos, pathos, and logos. No reference, no argumentation, no understanding of his points. Just, I feel this, don't feel bad. If you feel bad, I'm morally superior. And I'm a big Star Wars fan because I bought a big Lego set.
Yeah, like he just spells out how big his bias is.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's like, okay, you want us to believe what you're saying. Yeah, maybe don't show us your bias. Because if you're biased against towards something, then maybe what you believe isn't something that everyone's like. Maybe people will start thinking, maybe this guy, like, maybe he just can't like think unbiasedly.
You know, I'd hire him for
he can't like form things.
For video editing, I think he's great. I just wouldn't want him to go near a script. Kind of reminds me of Rian Johnson.
A little bit, just a little bit.
It looks.
I wouldn't let
Rian
Rian Johnson near anything.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are under 3 hours. That's pretty good. I think that's roughly, we did 2.5 the other time. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Wasn't too much to say. That's the only problem with this video. It was just kind of just flowery.
I was about to say,
empty.
There's not much to capture.
Yeah.
Just points to be confused.
People.
All he said was that you have to be nice, always like everything, and if it's okay to like the Last Jedi, if you don't, you're a monster. But if you do like the Last Jedi, you're morally superior to everyone else.
There we go. Okay, so other people recommended the Cosmonaut Variety Hour defense of The Force Awakens and the Last Jedi. I think we voted on not doing another Star Wars video. The next
probably for topic.
just to switch it up because we've been doing it ever since.
The horse is dead and disintegrated by this point.
Well, we're going to keep coming back. I'm going to guarantee we're going to find another video this month or next month that someone just created, and it's just going to be another pile. And I bet it's going to be, well, the Rise of Skywalker was worse, and da-da-da. It's like, okay, here we go. So it's going to be something like that. I'm sure we'll get back on the bandwagon. It's not hard to find. But if anyone has any recommendations for non-Star Wars videos of criticisms of critics or fandom or some crazy rant by someone you might know, related to media. Let's keep it within the same realm of criticism. So a certain franchise like James Bond or Harry Potter, pick one you like, find one that you're questioned about, leave it down in the comments, put it on Twitter, Facebook, or I don't know, put it on Discord. Join my Discord, talk about it. Be happy to have you on. And thanks to everyone for joining. Too bad we couldn't get Southpaw on, but that's cool. He's got his own stuff going for him. And hopefully we'll see you guys again.
I quickly plug my video.
Yeah, and there are links to everyone in the description. You want to check them out? They're all there.
Okay, so I did do a quick video with Southpaw. So I've released it today. So if you want to go check it out, my channel is in. I believe it's in your description.
Yes,
as you just said.
I definitely put everyone in the description, even Southpaw. But even though he's not here, so check it out. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great evening, and we'll see you in the next one.